Divine and mysterious immortality. I start my cultivation by adding points as a butcher. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. First time in the butcher shop, apprentice to slaughter pigs. Starry night. Frost and dew are heavy. Magpies fly south. Beside the old and heavy city wall, a butcher shop is brightly lit with candles. 7 or 8 rough men are busy. One fat pig after another is held down and bled. The piercing howls keep breaking through the night sky. The strong stench fills the air, making people dizzy. A fat and strong middle-aged man in a coarse cloth short coat, holding a purple clay teapot, sits with his legs crossed and drinks tea. He looks at the yellow and thin boy in front of him casually. He's thin and his clothes are full of patches. Due to long-term malnutrition, his face is haggard and pale. His fingers are also full of calluses, and he has obviously suffered a lot. However, the boy's eyes are very clear and deep, with a hint of calmness and competence, which makes people feel good about him. The middle-aged sturdy man put down the teapot and asked casually, "Are you the grandson of old Wei Hong? What's your name?" Reporting to the big master, "I'm Wei Hong." The young man looked clear and replied neither humbly nor arrogantly, "I am 16 years old this year and can read a few words. My grandfather is the old Wei Hong who is the night watchman in Anlifang. He often mentioned your reputation, so he wanted this junior to follow you for a living." Bullshit reputation. The middle-aged sturdy man spat out a mouthful of tea foam, and his expression softened a little. "You don't have to call me master all the time. I'm the boss of this butcher shop now. If you are not afraid of hardship, you can make a living. It can be regarded as repaying your grandfather's help." "Thank you, big boss." Wei Hong smiled. The middle-aged man continued, "There are no rules in our butcher shop, but there are a lot of dirty and tiring work. From now on, you will start work at 3:30 a.m. every morning and finish work at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and you will be provided with breakfast and lunch. You have to be responsible for sweeping the yard, the pig pen and the toilet, helping out when slaughtering pigs, boiling water and adding firewood, cleaning pig offal, and taking time to deliver goods to various restaurants, and helping in the kitchen. In addition, there is no salary during the apprenticeship period, and there will only be rewards during festivals. Remember all this?" Wei Hong nodded silently and agreed. He didn't care too much about the salary. Since crossing into this world of cultivating immortals, he has been dependent on his grandfather for life, and grew up in the slums of the capital of the Great Zhou dynasty. At the same time, he also awakened a mysterious system. This system lives on absorbing the vitality of all things. As long as Wei Hong kills a person or livestock with his own hands, he can absorb a ray of vitality from the other party, thereby continuously enhancing his own blood and lifespan, without any side effects or upper limits. If it were an ordinary person, he would probably be tempted to kill people everywhere to become stronger. But Wei Hong knew that this was a dangerous world. There were immortals who could ascend to heaven and descend to the earth, warriors who could collapse mountains and seas with their fists, and there was no shortage of strange demons that could harm people's lives. Those who kill will be killed. If you walk by the river often, you will get your shoes wet. Therefore, Wei Hong decisively abandoned this way of killing people to become stronger, and then asked his grandfather to find a job as an apprentice in a butcher shop. The salary didn't matter, as long as he could kill pigs and become stronger as soon as possible. "Boss, I wonder when I can start killing pigs?" Wei Hong asked curiously, looking at the pork with a hint of eagerness. "These are all his experience packs. You haven't learned to walk yet, and you're thinking about running." The middle-aged strong man Zhu Sihe sneered unhappily, "Killing pigs is a technical job. Only after passing the 3-year apprentice assessment can you have the opportunity to become a knifeman. You can learn slowly. 3 years. It doesn't have to be that long." Zhu Sihe patted his shoulder and comforted him. "Our butcher shop is affiliated with a Tiger Hut gang, and apprentices also have the opportunity to practice basic standing exercises. If you study hard and increase your arm strength, it's okay to become a knifeman in advance, and you may even have the opportunity to join the Tiger Hut gang." Wei Hong's eyes lit up again when he heard this. It's not easy to seek immortals these days. After all, the immortal sects are mysterious and hard to find. Although the Great Zhou royal family has immortals as offerings, not everyone can get in touch with them. Therefore, Practicing martial arts is the way out for ordinary people. If ordinary people want to go to a martial arts hall to practice martial arts, they have to pay a minimum of 10 or 8 taels of tuition every month. Now that you can learn martial arts by joining a butcher shop, it is naturally a good surprise. Do your best. Zhu Sihei continued to make big promises. Although our job of butchering pigs is dirty and tiring, at least we don't lack meat to eat. I don't know how many people envy us. When you get stronger, practicing martial arts is also a good way out. Thank you, boss. Wei Hong thanked him repeatedly. He knew Zhu Sihei was not lying. The butcher shop apprentice is a popular job, not everyone can do it. If it weren't for his grandfather's relationship with the other party, he wouldn't have been accepted by them. Well, Zhu Sihei nodded with satisfaction, and then he raised his hand to call a simple and honest young man with bulging muscles, as strong as a brown bear, and wearing a linen short coat, and said, "Li Daniu, this is the new apprentice Wei Hong, you take care of him." "Okay." The young man nodded in a muffled voice. He turned around and found a broom and handed it to Wei Hong, saying, "Brother Wei, come with me to clean up the blood on the ground. All the odd jobs in the store are ours. Anyone can give us a few orders. If there is nothing to do, we will clean up everywhere. If someone gives us orders, we have to help at any time. Do you understand?" "Okay, thank you, Brother Li." Wei Hong thanked him. "Why are you being polite?" Li Daniu scratched his head and reminded him in a low voice, "Just call me Daniu. I only came here 2.5 years earlier than you. Now there are only 2 apprentices in the butcher shop. You just follow me and do whatever I do later." After a while, the two began to get busy. Cleaning the pig pen, washing the blood, scraping pig hair, cleaning pig intestines, boiling water and watching the fire, all kinds of trivial things continued, and they were so busy that they had no time to touch the ground. Wei Hong and Li Daniu are now at the bottom of the butcher shop. Working hard and doing dirty and tiring work without complaint and not getting paid, the taste of it is naturally indescribable to outsiders. Moreover, due to years of hunger, Wei Hong's body was thin and weak. After working hard, he was sweating and his hands and feet were weak, and his face was pale. "Brother Wei, take it easy." Li Daniu reminded him in a low voice, "Look at your skinny appearance, there is no need to work too hard, otherwise you will be exhausted." Wei Hong laughed dumbly. This man is quite interesting. On the surface, he looks honest, but he knows how to be sneaky. "It's okay, I can hold on." Wei Hong gritted his teeth and continued to take water from the well in the yard to sweep. Whether in his previous life or this life, he was a low-level person who suffered a lot. Now that he has the opportunity to make a name for himself, how could he back down? Thinking of the leaky home in the slums, and thinking of his grandfather who raised him with difficulty in his 60s, Wei Hong's heart surged with endless strength, and he didn't care even though his hands were strangled by the well rope. "I want to become stronger. I want to have enough food. I want to let my grandfather live a good life." The boy's face gradually became firm. There was no trace of fatigue in his clear eyes, only hopeful enthusiasm. New book is launched. Readers who like it, please collect it first. Right square bracket. Chapter 2 Status, Indifference. At 7:07 a.m., the sky was bright and everything was revived. The market street in front of Zhuji meat shop was already full of traffic. The vendors were selling their wares along the street, and there was a long queue at the city gate. The shops on both sides of the street opened their doors to welcome customers, and every place was full of vitality. Groups of 3 or 2 began to gather in front of the meat stall to buy. The butchers who had been busy in the backyard for most of the night finally got a break. Aunt Wang, the kitchen maid, cooked a big pot of pork soup with some wild vegetables, and a rich fragrance immediately wafted around. After a busy day, Wei Hong was already hungry. Not only were his clothes soaked with sweat, but his body couldn't help but tremble slightly. His hands were sore and unbearable, and a mouthful of meat soup relieved his fatigue a little. "Huh? My body is really bad. Eat more, I have to get my body back up quickly." Wei Hong thought to himself, but he couldn't help frowning. The pigs in this world have never been castrated, and the fishy smell in their flesh and blood cannot be suppressed. In addition, there is a lack of seasonings such as ginger and garlic, so most people really can't get used to eating them. However, as he was born with no food to eat, he was not qualified to be too picky. "Little brother, you look a little unfamiliar. Are you a new apprentice?" Aunt Wang enthusiastically scooped a few spoonfuls of meat into his bowl. "Come on, eat more, You look so thin. Wei Hong said generously. Thank you, Auntie. You can just call me Xiao Wei. Please take care of me in the future, Auntie and the brothers. Don't be polite, eat more, it's enough. Aunt Wang smiled. But the other butchers seemed not to hear it. They squatted aside and ate meat soup pancakes. Occasionally, he said some dirty words and joked, and he didn't bother to look at him from beginning to end. Don't think too much, they are just like that, they are not targeting you on purpose, don't take it to heart. Li Daniu stuffed 2 pancakes into Wei Hong's hands, and pulled him aside to comfort him in a low voice. Although the people in our butcher shop deal with pigs, cattle and sheep every day, they are actually peripheral gang members of the Tiger Head Gang. They eat meat and practice martial arts all day long. They kill pigs in their spare time and chop people in chaos. They all have a murderous aura, and ordinary idlers dare not provoke them. In their eyes, we apprentices are just odd jobs, not worthy of being on an equal footing with them, so no matter how polite you are, they will not bother to pay attention to you. Just do your job honestly. Wei Hong gulped down a few mouthfuls of broth and nodded in understanding. In any dynasty, a butcher is a person in the gray area. He can afford meat and has strength. The butcher knife in his hand sees blood every day. How can he take ordinary poor people seriously? Wei Hong didn't care much about this, and there was no need to get angry. He never tried to force his way into a circle that he couldn't fit into. When he became stronger, people would take the initiative to make friends with him. Brother Daniu, can we join the Tiger Head Gang? Wei Hong asked with his head tilted. Of course. Li Daniu said with a little pride. How can you afford to open a butcher shop without a background these days? Our big stall owner's uncle is the leader of the Tiger Head Gang, and most of the money earned by the butcher shop every year has to be handed over to the gang. Every afternoon when business is not busy, the knifemen will practice martial arts to build up their strength. We can learn some standing exercises to strengthen our foundation. As long as we can lift a 200 jin stone block with one arm, we can join the Tiger Head Gang as an outer gang member, and we will have the opportunity to learn advanced skills. 200 jin. Wei Hong's eyes lit up. He was not too keen on joining the gang. But as long as he reached 200 jin of arm strength, he should be able to become a formal pig butcher, and then he could practice advanced skills, so he was naturally happy. Anyway, at that time, he would only have the title of an outer gang member and be at ease butchering pigs. If you can avoid a fight, you should avoid it. You won't be stupid enough to risk your life. It's not easy to live in Shinduju. Learning to kill pigs can not only fill your stomach but also improve your skills. You can also learn martial arts. Although it's a bit dirty and tiring, what else can I be dissatisfied with? Wei Hong was deeply moved. Even if he just squatted in the corner to eat, he would eat very happily. Li Daniu was a man who couldn't hold back his words. While eating breakfast, he couldn't help chatting in a low voice. There are 3 butchers and 15 cutters in our butcher shop, and we also have kitchen helpers Uncle Liu and Aunt Wang. Oh, by the way, the head butcher and his family of 3 live in the innermost courtyard. Don't go in if you have nothing to do. The mistress and the eldest daughter have bad tempers. Wei Hong was eager to hear more news, so he followed his words and asked, why are there so many people in a butcher shop? Because we're busy. Li Daniu scratched his head and said, Chengdu has a population of several million in the 108 districts. The daily consumption of meat is an astronomical figure. The boat gang must transport pigs, cattle and sheep from Yazhou, Xuzhou and other places to supply it. Meat is not easy to preserve. It must be slaughtered and sold on the same day. Our butcher shop usually supplies more than a dozen restaurants and dozens of wealthy families in the surrounding area, and we also have to deal with individual customers. We have to slaughter at least 20 to 30 pigs and 7 or 8 sheep a day, and double it during festivals. Usually the big boss is in charge of the shop, the second boss takes a few people to the countryside to collect pigs, and goes to the water and land docks to find boat gangs to buy livestock, and the third boss is responsible for delivering goods to various restaurants in the early morning. In short, these people are not enough. Wei Hong secretly clicked his tongue when he heard this. He really underestimated the business of the butcher shop. No wonder it has to be registered under the name of the Tiger Head Gang, otherwise who can control the place? See the dark and strong man on the left? His name is Wang Dazi. It is said that he is the most experienced knifeman here. He not only has the strength of the leather refining realm, but also killed 7 or 8 people with one knife when the Tiger Head Gang and the Evil Dog Gang were fighting. Don't mess with him casually. The people sitting next to him are Liu Kang and Jiang Kui. They like to eat, drink, gamble and have sex. Every time they get their monthly salary, they go to the brothels. The one who walks alone on the right is Zhao Jijin. He is the distant nephew of the third boss. He has a bad temper and is not liked by others. Li Daniu muttered in a low voice like a chatterbox. Wei Hong effortlessly recognized everyone present through his sight, and secretly memorized their information in his heart. Daniu, have you finished eating? Aunt Wang came over with a chicken and said casually, come and help me kill the chicken after you finish eating. The eldest lady wants to drink chicken soup at noon, so we must prepare it in advance. Hey, here I come. Li Daniu hurriedly prepared to get up and work. Wei Hong decisively raised his hand to hold him back, saying, Brother Daniu, you continue eating, I'll do it. How can I do that? Li Daniu scratched his head. It's okay. Wei Hong smiled indifferently and followed without hesitation. How could he miss such a good opportunity? If I can't kill a pig, can't I kill a chicken? Chapter 3, Posture Training, 13 Tiger Walks. Next to the well, Aunt Wen grabbed the chicken's feet and wings with both hands. Wei Hong skillfully plucked the fluff off the chicken's neck. Then he held the throat and cut it, and the chicken blood dripped into the white porcelain bowl. Cuckoo. The old hen struggled desperately, but her strength was getting weaker and weaker. Seeing this, Aunt Wen couldn't help but praise, your technique is quite neat. You must have killed chickens a lot every day, right? Haha. Wei Hong smiled helplessly. He and his grandfather were so poor that they could only afford to eat meat a few times a year. How could they have the chance to kill chickens? But they often ate chickens in their previous life. At the same time, a ball of illusory light that only Wei Hong could see. It drilled out directly from the hen's body and disappeared into his body the next moment. Ling. Life +1, host, Wei Hong, age 16/47, life points. 3, health points. 5.3, realm, none, skills, none, magic powers, none, skills, cooking minor success, 84 out of 100, fishing entry, 63 out of 100, hint. 100 points of vitality can increase lifespan by 1 year, 10 points of vitality can increase health points by 0.1, and 1 point of vitality can increase skill proficiency by 1 point. Wei Hong looked at his virtual panel and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. This was not the first time he had gained vitality. In the past, he had also tried to kill insects, small fish and shrimps to gain vitality, but the 1 or 2 points of vitality he gained sporadically were not enough to change the attribute board. Because his body was too weak. These vitalities entered his body, just like a drop of water entering the dry earth. In an instant, they would be completely absorbed by the flesh and blood everywhere. If you want to cause a qualitative change to increase attributes such as lifespan and health points, you probably need a lot of vitality. Obviously, it is impossible to kill just one chicken. But there is always hope, isn't it? Wei Hong raised his lips in a good mood. After helping Aunt Wang pluck the old hen skillfully, he continued to work with Li Daniu. Gradually, Wei Hong also figured out the scope of his work. All kinds of odd jobs, cleaning, sorting, and carrying are already clear in his mind. In fact, Li Daniu can barely finish these jobs by himself. Now with Wei Hong's help, the two of them are naturally much easier to share. Occasionally, they can run to the kitchen to chat with Aunt Wang about family matters. Life is very comfortable. After lunch, most of the individual customers at the meat stall at the door were gone, leaving only 2 knifemen selling meat. The remaining dozen knifemen began to gather in the backyard to practice. They either lifted hundreds of kilograms of stone blocks to practice strength, or they stood in various strange postures. Everyone was sweating and practicing diligently. Even Wang Dazi and several other skin-refining realm warriors were practicing boxing and kicking in 2s and 3s. They were shouting and punching each other, looking fierce and powerful, as if they could kill a tiger with 1 punch. Are you jealous? Li Daniu teased. MV. Wei Hong admitted frankly, Brother Daniu, when can I practice martial arts? Now. Li Daniu said readily, we are killing pigs, which is a strenuous job. If we don't practice the standing practice, how can we endure such hardship? We all practiced at Tiger Head Gang's 13 tiger movements to lay the foundation. This standing practice uses the tiger's artistic conception to temper the muscles and bones of the whole body, which is stronger than the entry-level exercises of ordinary martial arts halls. If you don't mind, I can teach you. If you are afraid that I can't teach well, You can wait until the 1st and 15th day of each month, and the 3 heads will take the time to teach you. Of course I won't mind, Brother Daniel, please. Okay. Li Daniel shook his hands, and his muscles and bones all over his body rang. He twisted his body and lay on the ground. He looked as ferocious as if he had turned into a tiger, with low tiger roars and thunderous sounds coming from his throat. He constantly refined every muscle in his body through the coordination of various movements. 13 tiger movements, as the name suggests, there are 13 movements. Li Daniel explained while practicing. Standing exercise is different from ordinary boxing and kicking kung fu. They do not open and close in a big way. Instead, they use methods such as standing, crawling, twisting, and shaking the body slightly, posing various strange postures and coordinating breathing to train muscles. I have only practiced a standing exercise for more than 2 years. Although I have not yet mastered it, I can still teach you. Just wait and see. This is the first move, the tiger descending the mountain. The key is to shake the neck, shoulder blades, and waist muscles. The breathing is 3 fast and 1 slow, and the throat makes a sound to vibrate the whole body. This is the second move, the hungry tiger pounces on the sheep. The key is to accumulate strength all over the body, visualize the scene of the tiger pounces on its food, and temper the arm and thigh muscles. This is the third move, the tiger roars in all directions. The key is to train the jaw, waist, abdomen, heart and lungs. You need to take a deep breath and roar. Li Daniel patiently explained and practiced. Wei Hong quickly memorized the key points of the 13 movements. They are not complicated, after all, they only need to make certain postures, and they are not as complicated and difficult to understand as fist, foot and sword techniques. However, although they are simple, it is not easy to practice artistic conception and figure out the subtlety. Wei Hong observed and compared the zhuanggong of other swordsmen and found that they had some subtle differences in movements, breathing, and details of artistic conception. Obviously, everyone has different feelings when practicing the same zhuanggong. The zhuanggong tiger walk 13 styles is included, and the current proficiency is entry 1/100. Huh? Wei Hong breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that the system has included it. As long as the proficiency is shown, is he still afraid that he can't practice this zhuanggong to the limit? After half an hour, Li Daniel finally slowly finished the exercise. However, even though he was as tall as a brown bear, he was sweating slightly at this moment, and his muscles were shaking slightly all over his body. Obviously, the tempering effect was amazing. Daniel, you have made great progress. You have mastered this zhuanggong to perfection. Even I have to admit defeat. It seems that in a short time, you can break through 200 kilograms of arm strength. The knifemen who were practicing on the side sneered in a sarcastic way. Haha. Li Daniel smiled and scratched his head, not daring to refute. Then he whispered, have you remembered? Although the movements are very simple, you have to visualize the artistic conception while coordinating with breathing. It is still difficult to practice well. It's a pity that we are not formal disciples of the Tiger Hut Gang, otherwise we can take a look at the divine intention of this zhuanggong, which will definitely help you a lot. Only by joining the Tiger Hut Gang can you see the divine intention. Wei Hong frowned. Of course. Li Daniel nodded and said, but you can practice without the divine intention. If you are brave, you can also go to the wild to observe the tiger, and the effect will definitely be better. Wei Hong's cheek twitched when he heard this. Go to the wild to observe the tiger? Do you really think I can slide? Li Daniel continued to remind him, in addition, you are a beginner and your body is not well recovered yet. It is difficult to practice 13 movements at once in a short period of time. Just do it according to your ability. Don't force yourself to practice and ruin yourself. Okay, thank you, Brother Daniel. Wei Hong nodded solemnly in agreement. Chapter 4. The boat has passed through thousands of mountains. Next, Wei Hong began to practice the 13 tiger movements on his own. He threw himself forward with his hands shaking, and stumbled to the ground to pose the first posture of a tiger descending from a mountain, trying to recall the key points of the practice that Li Daniel had just taught him. Spread your left hand a little, and retract your right foot. Remember the key points of breathing, 3 fast and 1 slow. Shake your neck, shoulder blades, and waist muscles slightly, and imitate the fierce appearance of a tiger preparing to descend from a mountain. Li Daniel patiently instructed him. Wei Hong took a deep breath and gradually adjusted his posture. He let out a low roar like a tiger in his throat, and kept imagining that he was a tiger descending from a mountain. Thanks to the fact that he had watched many wilderness documentaries in his previous life, he could imagine the tiger's every move, so it was much easier for him to learn than ordinary people, and he had learned it well in just a few moves. Not bad. Li Daniu said in surprise, "You are really a genius, and you can practice it so vividly in your first practice. You are much better than me." The surrounding knifemen also cast surprised eyes. Obviously, they also saw that Wei Hong was extraordinary, and subconsciously thought that he was a person with extraordinary talent. But in fact, only Wei Hong knew that he was not a genius. He just had more experience than ordinary people. After all, it was not easy for ordinary people in this era to see a tiger. Huh? After a while, Wei Hong felt the difficulty of practicing this zhuangguang. This zhuangguang is somewhat similar to the plank support. It requires many fine muscles in the whole body to work together, so that physical strength is consumed very quickly. In addition, Wei Hong was thin. After just more than 10 breaths, he was already trembling all over, his muscles were sore, and his breathing was disordered. He couldn't help but collapse to the ground, gasping for breath. Ha. That's it. I thought you were so capable. There was a burst of sneers around. Li Daniu comforted in an awkward whisper, "It's okay, your body is still weak, just take care of it for a few more days." Wei Hong smiled and was not discouraged at all. He grew up in a slum where he had been hungry for a long time. He was exhausted after working for most of the day, and it was normal that he couldn't finish the first move. Just as Li Daniu said, just take some more days to rest. Although the work in the butcher shop is a bit hard and tiring, the food is quite sufficient. I believe that within half a month, his thin body will be strengthened, and then he can practice hard like others. Now he can only simply familiarize himself with the 13 movements, imitating and memorizing them over and over again, not seeking to temper his body muscles immediately, but only to master this set of standing meditation as soon as possible. However, even with simple practice, Wei Hong suffered a lot. He fell to the ground again and again, his whole body was sore and unbearable, and his clothes were soaked with sweat as if he had just been fished out of the water, which made Li Daniu tremble with fear. Don't practice. Li Daniu couldn't help but persuade him again and again. Standing meditation consumes qi and blood to temper the whole body. If your body is not strong enough, forcing yourself to practice will only make your body collapse. I know what I am doing, don't worry, brother Daniu. Wei Hong continued to practice stubbornly, and refused to give up even though his hands and feet were shaking. After all, with the existence of the golden finger, he was not worried about his body being broken down. Anyway, as long as he absorbed vitality, he could replenish his qi and blood, repair hidden injuries, and strengthen his physique, so he just wanted to seize the time to become stronger as much as possible. After a period of training, Wei Hong almost fainted from exhaustion several times. He kept practicing until his body could no longer bear it, and then he decisively added 1 vitality to the health value on the panel. A warm energy began to sweep over his body. Wei Hong was like taking a tonic. His sore and tired muscles were quickly relieved, and his strength, which had been exhausted for a long time, was quickly restored. Great! Keep going. Wei Hong excitedly began to practice the pile again. He stopped only when he had exhausted all his strength again and was hungry. Little Wei, are you hungry? Aunt Wang couldn't bear it, and whispered, there are still some meat soup pancakes left in the morning, and there is still a lot of chicken soup for the eldest lady at noon. Do you want to eat some? Can I? Wei Hong raised his eyes in surprise. What's wrong with that? They are just some leftovers. Aunt Wang said enthusiastically, come sit in the kitchen, I'll heat them up for you. No, I'll just eat cold. Thank you, Aunt. Wei Hong was no longer polite. He sat on a small stool in the kitchen at Aunt Wang's signal. He scooped up a bowl of broth and grabbed a few pancakes and started to eat them. Although he was very full at noon. But there was no oil in his stomach, and practicing martial arts consumed a lot of energy. Therefore, the food in his stomach had already been digested completely. He drank several bowls of broth to relieve his hunger. Eat slowly, eat slowly. Aunt Wang muttered distressedly, come to me when you are hungry in the future. There are a lot of leftovers in the kitchen every day. You can't practice martial arts without a stomach. Thank you, Aunt. Wei Hong smiled gratefully, and a warm current flashed through his heart. Although the butchers in the butcher shop disdained to fight with him, whether it was Zhu Sihei's help, Li Dali's guidance, or Aunt Wang's love, They were all worthy of his gratitude. It's a pity that these meals cannot be taken home, otherwise Grandpa can also have a full meal. After eating and drinking, Wei Hong did not continue to practice 13 tiger movements, but endured the fatigue and began to help Aunt Wang with work, washing dishes and sweeping the floor. He knew that he must not sit down to rest when his muscles were sore. Otherwise, after a night, his hands and feet would be so painful that he couldn't even move. At this time, doing some work within his ability can relax the muscles. It was not until 3:45 in the afternoon that the butcher shop finally closed. Wei Hong breathed a sigh of relief. When he dragged his tired body to go home, Zhu Sihei, who was sitting at the door smoking a dry pipe, blew a smoke ring and said indifferently, "Wait, take these offal back." Look along his line of sight. Sure enough, there was still half a pig lung left on the meat stall, tied with a straw. "Thank you, Uncle Sihei." Wei Hong didn't hesitate and took it in his hand. The self-esteem of the poor is worthless. Since he has received the other party's favor, he will not think that Zhu Sihei is insulting himself with half a pig's lung. He is just grateful. "You kid." Zhu Sihei laughed dumbly. "Go away, come early tomorrow." Wei Hong smiled and nodded, turned around and walked towards the slums. Shuttled through the bustling streets of Chengdu, his mood was also lighter. For 16 years, he has been trembling with fear. Even if he has a golden finger, he dare not reveal it, for fear that he will be spotted by others accidentally. After all, in this huge capital, anyone has the ability to step on him to death. Fortunately, he has survived the weakest period, and I believe that life will get better day by day. The light boat has passed, and the mountains are thousands of mountains. Wei Hong curled his lips and murmured. Chapter 5 Slums, Fees. East of Anlafang, a large area of filthy slums is located under the prosperous capital of God. The bumpy muddy roads are filled with all kinds of feces and urine. A large number of poor people who are starving and cold live in the dilapidated shacks. Some of them are terminally ill, some are disabled in lame, and can only shrink in the corner to survive. There are also hungry children with innocent eyes, starving and fighting with wild dogs for food. In the winding alleys, the flirting laughter of prostitutes can be heard from time to time, and occasionally there are all kinds of noisy noises of shrews scolding the streets. It can be said that there are frequent chaos and mixed fish and dragons. Wei Hong turned a deaf ear to this and walked home on his own. At the same time, his eyes kept scanning the surroundings vigilantly, carefully avoiding the gang members in the slums and some discreet criminals who were not willing to see the light. "Xiao Hong is back? What are you busy with?" "Nothing, I just got back from work at Zhu's meat shop." "Hey, are you an apprentice at the butcher shop? This is a great event. Thanks to you." Wei Hong exchanged a few words with a few aunties on the way. He deliberately revealed that he was an apprentice in the butcher shop, which aroused the envy and jealousy of many people for a while, and even the prying eyes from all around were reduced a little. When he returned to the door of his house, he found that the door of his shack was wide open. 3 burly men in gray short coats with bloody tiger tattoos on their bodies were yelling at the grandfather with gray hair, hunched body, kind eyes and compassionate eyes. "Damn it, old Wei, don't think we won't do anything just because you're old. You know the consequences if you don't pay today. It's not that we don't want to pay, it's just that the money is too much, and I, an old man, really can't afford it." "I don't care whether you have money or not, stop talking nonsense. You want to get beaten, right?" A burly man with a scour on his face grabbed old Wei's collar and threatened. Seeing this, Wei Hong hurried over to stop him, frowned and advised, "Master Dao, let's talk it out nicely." "Oh, Xiao Hong is back." Scarface let go of his hand and said with a smile, Look, I'm not being unreasonable. It's just that your family is not cooperating with the fees assigned by the higher-ups, and I'm in a difficult situation. Don't worry, Master Dao, we know the rules." Wei Hong said calmly, "The monthly per capita fee is 3 cents, the garbage fee is 1 cent, and the night incense fee is 1 cent, right?" No, this month it's more than that." Scarface bowed towards the direction of the imperial city, and said with a smile, "The Empress Dowager is going to have a birthday soon, and the higher-ups have ordered all states to increase birthday taxes. Our Tiger Head gang has to help collect the money, 2 cents per person. Your family has to pay a total of 1 tael and 2 cents of silver." 1 tael and 2 cents. Wei Hong took a breath of cold air in shock. Grandfather Old Wei complained distressedly, "Damn it, I work so hard as a night watchman for only 1 tael and 5 cents of silver per month. You should leave some porridge for us grandsons, right? You collect it in the first half of the month, and the government office comes to collect it in the second half of the month. Are you going to let us live? Damn it, I don't care whether you live or not. Scarface interrupted impatiently. If you can't complete the task assigned by the superiors, will you take the punishment from me? Grandpa. Wei Hong stopped the old man from continuing to argue, and tried to persuade him in a gentle voice, take the money. Old Wei sighed silently, and helplessly took out a long time from his pocket. Finally, he took out a piece of loose silver and a bunch of copper coins and handed them to Scarface. Not bad, Brother Hong is still sensible. Scarface turned around and left with satisfaction. After a while, there was another round of threats, abuses and begging for mercy from next door. Wei Hong withdrew his gaze coldly, and he was already accustomed to such things. The Great Zhou dynasty was established 800 years ago, and it has long been rotten. Today they collect fees for doors and windows, and tomorrow they collect fees for charcoal. All kinds of gangs, big and small, are the minions of the superiors, oppressing ordinary people. If you don't pay, they have 10,000 ways to force you to pay. Wei Hong naturally had no idea who the money ended up in. He only knew that with his current status, he was not enough to fight against the rules. These bastards. Old Wei cursed in a low voice with heartache. They only know how to plunder the common people. Sooner or later they will give birth to children without anus. Say less, be careful, there are ears on the other side of the wall. Wei Hong helped him walk inside and advised, I'm doing well in the butcher shop now. When you become a butcher, our lives will be better. Yes, Brother Hong, you must be hungry after a busy day, right? Old Wei's face was full of kindness. I'll make dinner now. There are still 2 pounds of brown rice in the rice jar. We'll steam half a dried fish, and we'll have a good meal together. I ate too much in the shop today, so I won't have dinner. Wei Hong handed over the pig lungs, and said sleepily, this is the offal given by the boss. You can cook it yourself. You have to work in the second half of the night, so I'll go to bed early. Okay, if you are tired, take a shower and go to bed. Old Wei nodded hurriedly with heartache. How could he not see that Wei Hong was tired all over? He was afraid that he had suffered a lot. You don't have to leave the pig lungs for me, just eat them all, don't be reluctant. Wei Hong patiently advised, I work in the butcher shop and I have enough food, so we can save a lot of money on food in the future. Okay. The old man's voice was a little choked, but his eyes were bright and shining. The child he raised with great difficulty finally has the capital to settle down. Now he is still so filial and sensible, what else is he not satisfied with? After chatting for a few words, Old Wei began to clean the pig lungs and prepare to cook. Wei Hong looked around the low, dim, cluttered shack, and the wooden bed that could barely squeeze 2 people, and finally sighed silently. The rice jar at home is empty, and the shack is still leaking. The weather is getting colder day by day, and the charcoal fire and cotton clothes for the winter are still not found. Thinking about his grandfather who had to go out to beat the night watch at his old age, and do odd jobs and clean up in the Dali Temple prison during the day, and doing 2 jobs to support himself, Wei Hong couldn't help but feel depressed. Just hold on a little longer, life will get better and better. I've made it through 16 years, there's nothing I can't get through. Wei Hong comforted himself while fetching water to wipe his body. Take a bath? Impossible. Where can I take a bath in such a small shack? Most people in the slums don't take a bath once a year. When I have money in the future, I must buy a big yard. After a simple wash, Wei Hong tossed and turned in bed. Although he was tired and sleepy, the sore muscles all over his body made it difficult for him to fall asleep. In desperation, Wei Hong added a little vitality to his health points, and waited until his body was wrapped in warm energy again. He couldn't help but close his eyes comfortably and quickly fell into deep sleep. Please collect and fatten him up, and please vote. Chapter 6 Weird, human life is less valuable than a dog's. In the morning, Zhuji meat shop was as lively and noisy as usual. Wei Hong was constantly cleaning up the blood and washing the pig intestines. He did all kinds of work quickly and efficiently, and no one could find any fault with him. In a blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. Although he worked hard in the butcher shop, he had no worries about food and drink every day. His once thin body gradually gained some muscles, and his complexion was no longer haggard and pale half a month ago. His eyes were also sharper because of martial arts training. He looked very energetic and finally had some youthful vigor. Brother Hong, are you busy? Li Daniu came back from outside pushing a cart. Since Wei Hong took over the odd jobs, he would be sent out to deliver goods to major restaurants every day, so he was much busier than before. Not busy. Wei Hong kept moving his hands, raised his head and smiled. These jobs are quite easy, not as hard as you running around outside. Hey. Don't mention it. Li Daniu poured a cup of tea from the kitchen and cursed. I don't know what the Tiger Head Gang and the Blood Crow Gang did last night. They suddenly fought in the early morning, causing the patrol guards in the west of the city to impose martial law. We were checked countless times on the way to deliver goods, and we were delayed until now. Oh. Wei Hong immediately became interested. Although Li Daniu was honest, he also liked gossip. From him, you can always know what big and small things happened in the City of Gods recently. Wei Hong was naturally happy to chat with him, so he hurriedly asked, the Tiger Head Gang controls such a large area of Anlafang and Angxifang, how dare a gang like the Blood Crow Gang provoke them? You don't know yet. Li Daniu lowered his voice and said proudly, the Blood Crow Gang recently got the support of a big shot and recruited a group of blood refining realm masters, which greatly strengthened its momentum. Otherwise, how dare they compete with the Tiger Head Gang? I see. Wei Hong chuckled and shook his head. He was already accustomed to this. This must be another game between some big shots, which finally turned into a fight of chess pieces. In short, it has little to do with ordinary people. Also, the eldest son of the wealthy Li family in Mvlu Street suddenly went crazy last night, holding a sharp knife and killing 18 people in a family. It is said that even the evil spirit suppression department was alarmed. When passers-by passed by the Li mansion early in the morning, they were all shocked by the blood on the ground. It is said that the 18 people were skinned. If your grandfather passes by here in the middle of the night, remember to tell him to be careful. Li Daniu continued to talk. Wei Hong was shocked when he heard this. Is this weird? He has always known that there are many evil spirits in this world. Although Chengdu is the capital of the Great Zhou dynasty, the emperor has the imperial aura under his feet to suppress the probability of weird events, but it is not absolutely safe. Over the years, there have been more than a dozen weird events every year near Anlafeng alone. At the least, 1 or 2 people were killed or injured, and at the worst, the whole family suffered. Most people kept silent about this, because everyone knew that it was weird and unpredictable and difficult to deal with. Even the evil spirit suppression department mostly just cleaned up the mess afterwards. Blame the victim for his bad luck. How could the Li mansion attract a weirdo? Wei Hong said in surprise. Most of these wealthy families have warriors as guards. It stands to reason that warriors have abundant blood and energy like a furnace in the hot sun, so ordinary weirdos should stay away from them. Who said it wasn't? Li Daniu put down the tea bowl and said mysteriously, it is said that the eldest son of the Li family went to Hongfu Temple outside the city to burn incense some time ago. Because of the heavy rain, he rested for a while in an abandoned farm halfway up the mountain. Maybe the weirdo was attracted at that time and then brought back home. I heard from Mr. Tang, who sells braised meat next door, that he heard the eldest son of the Li family singing opera in the middle of the night. At first, he didn't take it too seriously, but something happened in the second half of the night. Tell me, isn't it tragic? Wei Hong's hair stood on end, and he felt a chill on his back. In this world, human life is really not as good as pigs and dogs, and people don't have a sense of security at all. I must become stronger as soon as possible, otherwise I will not be able to escape from these dirty things. By the way, how is your practice of Zhuangguang? Li Daniu asked curiously. I can barely practice to the 7th form in one breath. Wei Hong put down the work in his hands, went directly to the corner of the wall, grabbed a 50 jin stone lock, and then took a deep breath and lifted it up suddenly. Huh? The stone lock was lifted above his head. Although Wei Hong's arms were still trembling slightly, but compared to the powerless appearance half a month ago, there has been a huge change. Good, it's worth it for your hard work every day, Brother Hong. Li Daniu praised with surprise. In 10 days and half a month, you should be able to practice the 13 forms in one breath. If you can practice 9 times a day, you can basically reach 200 jin of arm strength. Haha. Wei Hong smiled and said nothing. He knew his own weight, and this progress was actually much worse than that of others. Although he had strengthened his body in the past half month, unfortunately, his foundation was too poor and his talent was very average. Only Li Daniu encouraged him. It's not easy to have an arm strength of 200 kilograms. I heard that many rich and powerful children practice martial arts with nourishing soup and medicine. One day can equal a month's work for us poor people. But I don't have money to buy nourishing soup and medicine. If I don't have vitality to supplement, I'm afraid I may not be able to practice it in 3 years. I don't know when I can officially slaughter pigs. Wei Hong frowned in distress. During this period, he could help Aunt Wang slaughter some chickens, ducks and geese every now and then. But it was not easy for him to slaughter pigs and sheep. After all, it was not his turn to do it. Brother Hong wants to kill a pig. Li Daniu seemed to see through his thoughts, and couldn't help but teased with a smile, "If you really want to use a knife, come and help me tomorrow." Wei Hong's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help asking, "Brother Daniu, don't be ridiculous, do you have 200 kilograms of arm strength?" "Not yet." Li Daniu smiled awkwardly, "Now my arm strength is only 180 kilograms at most, and I am not qualified to be a knifeman, but tomorrow is the Cold Clothes Festival." "Oh." Wei Hong was surprised. "It's a festival, and every household will buy meat." Li Daniu continued, "At that time, not only the rich restaurants, but even the small households will buy meat, and our butcher shop will be very busy." Wei Hong finally understood what he meant. Once the butcher shop is busy, there will definitely be a shortage of manpower. On weekdays, Li Daniu may not be qualified to butcher a pig, but when it is busy, he, an apprentice who has practiced for 2.5 years and has an arm strength of 180 kilograms, naturally has the opportunity to butcher. "Brother Daniu, how about we work together tomorrow?" Wei Hong said with shining eyes. "Of course." Li Daniu smiled innocently, "These filthy animals are very strong. It's not easy for me to hold them down by myself. It would be great if you can help me." Wei Hong was instantly in a good mood after hearing that. It seems that there will be a chance to make a living tomorrow. Sure enough, in the afternoon, Zhu Sihei summoned everyone and told them to leave work early and start work an hour earlier tomorrow to prepare for the Cold Clothes Festival. Large numbers of pigs and sheep were also escorted from the dock. Asking for votes. Chapter 7 Cold Clothes Festival, Make Money. October 1st. The weather is getting colder, and the wind is howling. Wei Hong took advantage of the night to shuttle through the streets and alleys and arrived at Zhuji meat shop early. It was only 3/4 after midnight, but the butcher shop was already brightly lit and crowded with people. Not only were more than a dozen butchers all here, but even the second and third heads who had been out all day had arrived in person. Obviously, this Cold Clothes Festival was an important day for the butcher shop. "Are all the people here?" Zhu Sihei, holding the teapot as usual, said coldly, "Everyone knows what day it is today. The wealthy families in the major restaurants have already paid deposits to our butcher shop. At least 40 pigs and 20 sheep must be slaughtered to make up the number. If there are too many individual customers in the early morning, we may have to add more. I don't care how you usually cheat. If anyone dares to have diarrhea today and make me lose face, just pack up and get out. Our small temple can't accommodate such a big Buddha. Do you understand?" "Yes." Everyone agreed in a serious manner. Even the most arrogant butchers on weekdays did not dare to offend today. Zhu Sihei glanced over and said again, "Li Daniu, Wei Hong, you two work together to kill the sheep, is it okay?" "Don't worry, big boss, we can do it." Li Daniu agreed on the spot. "Okay." Zhu Sihei waved his hand, "Work harder for me, you will get the reward, get to work." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone began to work enthusiastically. Although 40 pigs and 20 sheep may not seem like a lot, but if you want to clean them all up and send them to the restaurant, it is not an easy task. The kitchen maids Liu Bo and Wang Ati had boiled a pot of boiling water early. The butchers worked in pairs, dragged out the fat pigs one by one and started to work. The white knife went in and the red knife came out, and the howling of pigs and sheep pierced people's eardrums. Li Daniu pulled out a black goat from the sheep pen. While tying the sheep's legs with a rope, he threw it on the chopping board. "Do you know why the boss asked us to kill sheep?" Li Daniu explained with a smile, "Because sheep don't need to be shaved, you only need to peel off the sheepskin to sell the meat, which is simpler than killing pigs. And sheep are more docile and less powerful than pigs, so the two of us won't be unable to hold them down." Wei Hong nodded in understanding. Through long-term observation, he found that the pigs and sheep in this world are stronger than those on Blue Star. They are like they have evolved, and their strength is terrifying. A pig weighing more than 100 pounds cannot be held down by ordinary strong men. It takes knifemen who have practiced standing exercises to cooperate in pairs to quickly get rid of them. Now this black goat doesn't look big, but if Wei Hong goes to the sheepfold to catch it by himself, I'm afraid it will easily be knocked out by it. It's not difficult to kill a sheep, just watch. Li Daniu picked up a thin and sharp knife, rubbed it a few times, and was ready to do it. Seeing this, Wei Hong said quickly, "Let me do it. I've seen them fight a lot every day, so I know how to bleed. You can teach me how to skin the goat later." "Okay." Li Daniu handed over the knife happily. Wei Hong shook the butcher knife in his hand, his face indifferent. He didn't help in the butcher shop for nothing. He had seen how the butchers killed pigs and goats, how to cut, how to remove bones and cut meat, but he just lacked practical experience. Killing a goat is not difficult. Wei Hong grabbed the goat's horn with his left hand, and stabbed the goat's throat with a knife in his right hand. Baa, baa, baa. The black goat struggled desperately. However, because the goat's legs were tied with ropes, its struggle seemed extremely weak, and finally blood gushed out like a fountain, splashing all over the ground. Gradually, its strength became weaker and weaker. After dozens of breaths, a bright ball of light flickered and was swallowed. Ling. Vitality plus 12, Wei Hong's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but curl his lips and smile. One goat is worth 12 old hens. This deal is a lucrative one. But where does this vitality come from? The goat meat and blood are still intact. Did the system devour and transform the goat's soul? Or did it devour the illusory lifespan? Wei Hong couldn't figure it out, so he stopped thinking about it. Li Daniu had already picked up the goat and hung it on the rack. Then he sharpened his knife and explained, "Sheepskin is a good thing. It can not only be made into coat to keep warm, but also into felt hat, fur coat, and sheepskin boots. Sometimes it is more valuable than goat meat, so you have to be very careful when skinning it. Before skinning, you need to cut a hole in the leg of the goat, and then use a bamboo tube to blow air into the membrane. In this way, the skin and meat will separate, and skinning will become very easy." After saying that, he began to fiddle with it seriously. Although Wei Hong had seen other knifemen killing goats, he still gained a lot from listening to Li Daniu's personal explanation. Finally, a skill was added to the system panel: slaughtering, beginner, 1/100. Goats usually weigh about 70 to 80 kilograms. After skinning, chop off the head and empty the internal organs. The mutton can be sold on the stall. Isn't it easier than killing pigs? Li Daniu asked with a smile. Wei Hong nodded in agreement. Since pigs are not skinned, dealing with pig hair is a delicate job. After scraping off the pig hair, the pork has to be divided and sold. Overall, it is indeed more complicated than killing sheep, so that after the two of them killed a sheep, the other knifemen were only halfway busy. Next, the two continued to divide the work and cooperate to kill sheep. Wei Hong rushed to bleed the goat every time, so he also gained opportunities again and again. At the same time, he began to skin the goat himself, and his butchering skills increased a lot without realizing it. Good job. Zhu Sihei paced and stood aside, and finally nodded with satisfaction. Whether it was Li Daniu or Wei Hong, both of them were quick and diligent people. Although their strength and skills were not as good as other knifemen, they were still very worth cultivating. Seeing that the two of them worked together to deal with another goat, Zhu Sihei raised his eyebrows and ordered, "Daniu, go pull out the smallest black pig in the pig pen, and you two can start killing it." "Hey." "Okay." Li Daniu was overjoyed when he heard this. The big boss said this clearly to cultivate him. Although his arm strength is only 180 kilograms, he should be able to pick a thinner pig, and he has Wei Hong to cooperate with him. After he practices, he will definitely be able to officially become a knifeman in less than a month or two. "Congratulations, Brother Daniu." Wei Hong congratulated happily. Li Daniu smiled and scratched his head. "Let's go. Kill the pig." As they spoke, the two went straight to the pig pen. Enduring the stench and scanning the surroundings, Li Daniu quickly locked onto a thin black pig, then hugged the pig's waist and picked it up. "That's right, just hug." The way to kill pigs in this world is very simple and rough. Since big fat pigs are generally ferocious, they can easily be injured if dragged head-on, so the best way is to lift them up with force so that they can't use the force to struggle. "Brother Hong, do it." Li Daniu pressed the pig on the chopping board. The whole body was pressed down tightly, and no matter how it howled and struggled, it could not break free. And this is the right time for Wei Hong to take action. Please read and vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. The future is promising. Will the body be sanctified? Puff. With one cut, blood splattered. It was Wei Hong's first time to kill a pig, so his skills were not very good. Although he tried his best to cut the throat, it was still a little off. As a result, he failed to cut the blood vessels connecting to the heart. Being injured, the pig naturally howled and struggled desperately. Off, come again. Be careful, don't get kicked by it, this filthy animal is too strong. Hurry up. Li Daniu gritted his teeth and continued to hold it down, while anxiously urging. Puff. Wei Hong calmly raised his knife and cut again. This time, he finally stabbed the knife steadily into the large blood vessels in the throat. Blood splashed out and rushed into the basin of pig blood. Help. Li Daniu's face flushed, and he squeezed out 2 words from his teeth. Obviously, the pig's struggle before death was the most intense. Wei Hong quickly dropped the knife and pressed it, only to feel a tidal force rolling under him. In just a few breaths, he almost flew out. Fortunately, Li Daniu was so strong that he managed to suppress it. Gradually, the pig's strength became weaker and weaker. The two of them breathed a sigh of relief and slowly collapsed to the ground. Damn, are all the pigs in the world of immortal cultivation so fierce? Wei Hong wiped his cold sweat with lingering fear, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. No wonder it takes a man with 200 kilograms of arm strength to act as a knifeman, and he almost flipped over. Brother Hong, good job. Li Daniu grinned. If you were slower, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to suppress it. Haha. Wei Hong smiled and said nothing. He took the time to glance at the prompt of Vitality plus 18 on the system panel, and couldn't help but curl the corners of his lips. A skinny pig actually has 18 points of Vitality, which is equivalent to the income of 1.5 sheep. Wouldn't it be more profitable if other fat pigs were killed? The future is promising. It's a pity, one bite is so bad that you become a fat man. Now I am lucky enough to kill it thanks to Brother Niu. If I rely on myself, I am afraid it will be difficult to do it in a short time. Wei Hong exhaled a long breath. After calming down, he began to work with Li Daniu. After the blood of the pig is drained, the hair must be shaved. One person scoops boiling water and pours it on the pig, and the other person holds the knife with both hands to shave the pig hair. The cooperation is the most efficient. Li Daniu is nimble and is no worse than other knifemen. Wei Hong also took the butcher knife to shave some fine hair when he had time. Unconsciously, the proficiency of butchering skills has increased a little. Scraping the pig hair is the easiest. Be patient and you can shave it clean. The next step is to gut and cut a pork. Before that, cut off the pig's head and limbs. You must find the joints to cut. You must be quick, accurate and ruthless to cut. When gutting, be slow. Don't cut the internal organs. If you cut the large intestine, feces will leak out. After emptying the internal organs, cut from the spine of the back, and watch. Li Daniu explained while moving the knife quickly and accurately. A pig was quickly cut into pieces of meat in his hands. Although it was his first time to cut pork, he usually helped others a lot, so he was very quick and did not make any mistakes. Zhu Sihei stood there and watched for a while, and finally turned around and left with satisfaction. Wei Hong saw the scene and smiled and joked, the big boss is very satisfied. Brother Daniu, you are going to be promoted to knifeman. How can it be so simple? I still lack some strength. Li Daniu's face was complicated, with both joy and disappointment. Like Wei Hong, he is actually an ordinary person with average talent. After working in the butcher shop for 2.5 years, he has actually learned all kinds of skills. But his strength is still a little short of the standard, so now he can only kill skinny pigs. He is still a little short of being a qualified knifeman. Why don't you go to the medicine store to get some nourishing soups and medicines? Wei Hong suggested casually. Becoming a knifeman earlier can also make more money to support the family. Li Daniu smiled awkwardly and said nothing. Obviously, he was short of money and dared not say a word. A nourishing soup in the medicine store costs at least half a tael of silver. Ordinary people have to deal with various taxes and exploitation every day, and have to support their families. How can they have money to buy soups and medicines to practice martial arts? Alice. Wei Hong sighed silently. and finally could only continue to work hard. With a background like theirs, every step is very difficult. Where are there so many opportunities for trial and error? Waiting for time is the right way. You too. Just after the hour of Mao, the third in command Zhao Mingji hurried over and ordered, "Pack up quickly and get ready to go out with me to deliver the goods later." "Hurry up." "Yes." Li Daniu quickly agreed. Wei Hong seemed a little regretful, as he wanted to kill a few more sheep. But after thinking about it, he knew it was unlikely. Delivering the goods also requires manpower. At this time, everyone is busy, so it is impossible to let other knifemen deliver the goods. Fortunately, I was quick just now, otherwise I might not even be able to drink a mouthful of soup. Wei Hong took the time to take a look at the attribute board and couldn't help but sigh. Host, Wei Hong, age 16/47, life points 81, health points 5.7, realm, none, skills 13, tiger moves, beginner's guide 54/100, magic powers, none, skills, cooking, minor success 89/100, fishing, beginner's guide 63/100, slaughtering, beginner's guide 37/100, tips. 100 points of vitality can increase lifespan by 1 year, 10 points of vitality can increase health points by 0.1, and 1 point of vitality can increase skill proficiency by 1 point. My health points have increased slightly compared to half a month ago, but they are all slowly increased by practicing martial arts. I just killed 5 sheep for a total of 63 points of vitality, 1 pig for 18 points, plus the 9 points I earned from helping Aunt Wang kill chickens, ducks, and geese. I have a total of 81 points of vitality. Wei Hong thought about it and decisively added 80 points of vitality to his health points. Ling. Vitality minus 80, HP plus 0.8, current HP 6.5. Waves of warm and powerful energy began to resonate in the body. Wei Hong felt as if he had eaten several bowls of tonic medicine, and every cell in his body seemed to be nourished. His sore muscles quickly became comfortable, and his shriveled and thin body gradually became full. He seemed to have endless strength, and his eyes became sharper. While no one was paying attention, Wei Hong casually lifted the stone lock in the corner. He was surprised to find that it had become very easy for him to lift a 60 Jin stone lock with one arm, and his physical fitness had obviously improved a lot. If I can get so much vitality every day, can't I become a saint in the flesh? Wei Hong murmured in amazement. Please vote and support. Chapter 9, Green Willow Street, Red Lanterns. Hurry up, don't dawdle. Catch up, those behind. In the early hours of the morning, the door of the butcher shop was pushed open. The sound of the wheelbarrow pressing on the bluestone road broke the silence. The third in command Zhao Mingji led the team personally, and Wei Hong, Li Daniu and 7 or 8 others each pushed a wheelbarrow, loaded with pigs and sheep, and walked out of the butcher shop in a mighty manner, preparing to deliver goods to major restaurants. At this moment, the night was hazy and dark, with a faint mist. There was no one in the streets and alleys, and the atmosphere seemed a little depressing. Don't be nervous, Brother Hong. Li Daniu comforted him with a smile. Actually, delivering goods is not difficult. Generally, we deliver to various restaurants first, and then to various wealthy households. We just need to deliver them to the door according to the order. But it's not safe at night. Although there is a curfew in Chengdu, there are many gangs. The payment for dozens of pigs and sheep is as high as hundreds of taels. I'm afraid that some desperate people will target us, so we must be smart. Okay. Wei Hong nodded repeatedly, and his eyes looked around vigilantly. In this atmosphere, he really didn't feel safe. He always felt like someone was spying on him in the streets and alleys, which made people feel nervous and dared not relax at all. Just after walking through a street, he ran into a team of armored patrol guards. They walked with torches in their hands and swords across their shoulders, and their eyes were ferocious and scary. Stop, who are you? Hey, General, don't misunderstand me, don't misunderstand me. Zhao Mingji bowed and smiled familiarly. We are from Zhuji Meat Shop, and we are out delivering goods at night. We are definitely not thieves. Oh? Really? The head of the guards glanced at the convoy with sharp eyes, and then said with a fake smile, so it's Zhao Tao, why are you out delivering goods in person? Isn't this the Cold Clothes Festival? The major restaurants need more goods. Zhao Mingji stuffed 2 pieces of silver inconspicuously and said with a smile, General, you have worked hard. These are my butchers. Please do me a favor. Well, the head of the guard nodded with satisfaction, and then said, since you are delivering goods, let's go, don't delay the time. Yes, thank you, General. Zhao Mingji happily arched his hands and continued to move forward with the convoy. Zhuji Meat Shop is backed by the Tiger Hut gang and has some relationship with the patrol army. As long as you don't encounter tasks like searching for thieves or fugitives, you won't be harassed if you give some money for tea. A moment later, the convoy stopped in front of a restaurant called Mingai Fang. This restaurant occupies a large area, with two big red lanterns hanging high at the door. Through the half-open door, you can see that several young men who look like servants are yawning and cleaning the tables, chairs and benches. It seems that being a waiter in a restaurant is not easy. Wei Hong couldn't help but sigh in a low voice. Being a waiter in a restaurant is naturally not easy. Li Daniu echoed, you work hard for only a little over 1 or 2 silver coins a month, get up earlier than chickens, sleep later than dogs, and get beaten and scolded when you meet difficult customers. Old Liu, please check the goods. Zhao Mingji stepped into the door and bowed to a middle-aged man in a gray coat who was dozing behind the counter. Oh my, the third in command actually came to deliver the goods in person. What a rare guest. The middle-aged man smiled and stood up to greet him. Zhao Mingji said helplessly, today is a festival, and our restaurants are gearing up to welcome customers. Our butcher shop can't be left behind. Your family has ordered 8 pig feet, 120 kilograms of pork, 50 kilograms of mutton, and 60 kilograms of offal. Please order. No problem. The middle-aged man called 2 servants to help. Soon, the pork and mutton were counted, and the money was paid and the goods were received. Zhao Mingji greeted people with satisfaction, then waved his hand and said, let's go, the next one, hurry up, don't delay the time. The creaking sound of wheels sounded again. The mighty convoy kept moving on the street, delivering fresh meat to one restaurant after another. Unknowingly, the convoy arrived at a long street by the river. It was full of dense willow trees, and the branches and leaves swayed in the wind, which looked particularly creepy in the dark night. Occasionally, you can see the brightly lit brothel and painted boat on the river. Waves of mist floated in the wind, making the atmosphere even colder. Yeah. A shrill and soft singing voice came from afar. In the motorcade, Lu Kang, who often went in and out of brothels, couldn't help but laugh and commented, this Kingping tune has a bit of charm. I don't know which young lady in the pleasure boat sang it, but it sounds quite tempting. Still seeking pleasure in the early morning, these bastards really know how to enjoy themselves. Shameless. Jiang Kui cursed and spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm. You two are really laughing at others for being shameless. How dare you laugh at others for being shameless? If the free money had not been spent, wouldn't you still hang out in brothels every day? That's right, be careful not to get sick. Ha, it's okay, if you get a dirty disease, just cut it off. The men laughed and joked, and they were even more excited when they talked about dirty things. But Zhao Mingji, who was walking in front, suddenly changed his face and raised his hand and said, shut up. Wei Hong was startled and found something wrong. The singing was clearly not coming from the pleasure boat, but from all directions. It was as if someone was singing softly in his ear. For a moment, everyone felt that they were surrounded by coldness. It was as if a pair of eyes were staring at them in the dark. Unconsciously, everyone's hands and feet became a little stiff. Not far away, 2 big red lanterns suddenly lit up at the door of a house. They were dazzling in scarlet, making people shudder. Oh no, this is Green Willow Street. Li Daniel was so scared that his face turned pale. Before the rich Li family was mysteriously exterminated, someone heard the singing. Hiss. Everyone took a breath of cold air. Zhao Mingji was so shocked that he stepped back repeatedly. He took a few deep breaths and then whispered to everyone, quick. Take a detour, don't talk, don't look around, keep your head down and leave quickly. Hong Year, follow me. Go faster. Everyone pushed the wheelbarrow in a panic and took a detour. It was not until they were 100 meters away that the singing sound lingering in their ears gradually disappeared. After confirming again and again that no one was possessed by the weird spirit, everyone silently breathed a sigh of relief. Li Daniu, do you want to die? Zhao Mingji wiped the cold sweat and kept cursing. Since you knew that something happened in the Li mansion, why didn't you tell us in advance? You want to kill everyone, right? Third Gear Head, I am wronged. Li Daniu defended aggrievedly. This matter has been a hot topic, I thought you knew it. You dare to talk back. Zhao Mingji glared in anger. Calm down, third boss. Wei Hong quickly advised, we'd better leave quickly. Although we don't know if there is really something strange, it's not a good thing to stay here. Yes, let's go. Zhao Mingji took advantage of the situation and quickly led the convoy to leave. Damn it, it's too scary. I won't go to Green Willow Street next time, even if I'm killed. That's right. There's something strange happening at the foot of the Imperial City. Is this going to make people live? We're still lucky. I heard that several villages outside the city have been hit by something strange recently. Everyone in the village has died. Second boss and his group are always scared when they go out to collect pigs. What's that? King Hao was hit by drought and famine some time ago. The land was barren for thousands of miles and there were strange things everywhere. I don't know how many people died. The people who survived the disaster were talking about it, and everyone was scared. Wei Hong's face was not very good either. He didn't expect that just coming out to deliver goods would be so dangerous. If he was unlucky, he would probably die inexplicably today, right? We must become stronger as soon as possible. Wei Hong breathed a sigh of relief, secretly glad that he had escaped. But just as he was about to leave, a cry of surprise came from the convoy. Where are Lu Kang and Jiang Kui? Damn, why are they gone? Everyone gasped in shock. A chill instantly struck their hearts, making their hands and feet stiff. Chapter 10. People are in panic. Missing? Are you kidding? Zhu's meat shop, which should have been bustling in the morning, was unusually dull and dead silent. Only Zhu Sihei's incredulous roar echoed around. Wei Hong, Li Daniu and other people who had just escaped all looked pale, obviously having been frightened. How dare I joke about such a thing? Zhao Mingji, the third in charge, argued with a gloomy face. Everyone was scared at that time. If I hadn't been tough and forced them to deliver the goods before returning, I'm afraid everyone would have left their cars and meat behind to escape. Don't you believe me, boss? Could it be that the two of them fell behind? Zhu Sihei rubbed his eyebrows depressedly and asked, it's normal for two people to get lost in the middle of the night, right? Normal as. Zhao Mingji said in a low voice, the convoy was lit with torches in the middle of the night, and they couldn't get lost even if they were blind, right? And the two of them were in the middle of the convoy at that time, and in a blink of an eye, they disappeared with their cars. What do you think? Hiss. Zhu Sihei was also frightened and took a breath. Don't make a fuss, send someone out to look for them first. Okay. The two briefly discussed for a while, and Zhao Mingji began to go out to look for people. Zhu Sihei personally sat in the butcher shop, fearing that something went wrong again. Wei Hong and others still looked at each other. All of them were still a little frightened. It's okay. Li Daniu smiled and comforted, maybe they just went to have sex secretly. Haha. Everyone rolled their eyes perfunctorily, no one was stupid enough to believe such nonsense. Wei Hong could not forget the chill and coldness at that time. He was sure that Lu Kang and Jiang Kui disappeared in the blink of an eye. This kind of weird incident was difficult to guess with common sense. If you encountered it, you would probably die. Why are you crying? Can weird things hurt you in broad daylight? Since you are back, it means you are safe. Zhu Sihei scolded angrily, do what you need to do now. Get off work 1 hour earlier in the afternoon and go home to rest. Before leaving, everyone will go to the stall to get 3 pounds of offal and a reward. Do you understand? Yes. Thank you, big stall owner. Big stall owner is generous. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard it. The dull atmosphere gradually warmed up. After lunch, Wei Hong continued to practice as usual. He made various poses. Sometimes he crawled, and sometimes he twisted his body. The muscles of his half-naked upper body were tense and sweat was pouring down. He tried his best in every move, without any slackness. In the past, he would have collapsed to the ground after only practicing the 7th move, and it would have been difficult for him to continue. But today, his health had just increased, and his blood and ki were surging all over his body. It was as if he had endless strength, and he practiced from the 1st move to the 13th move in one breath. Did this kid take the wrong medicine? He only practiced the 7th move a few days ago, but now he has practiced the 13th move. The swordsmen who were practicing with stone locks on the side couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Li Daniu was also subconsciously stunned for a moment. Wei Hong just said that he practiced the 7th move yesterday, so how could he have made such great progress today? Could it be that he bought soup medicine to nourish his blood and ki? After a period of training, Wei Hong breathed a sigh of relief. As the 13th move was successfully completed, his bones began to burst into crackling sounds. A sense of clarity inexplicably arises from the bottom of my heart. The boiling blood turns into waves of warm currents, which begin to nourish every muscle in my body. Billions of pores are all open at this moment, and a large amount of sweat gushes out, and a large amount of impurities are easily discharged from the body. At the same time, there is a tingling feeling in addition to the soreness of the limbs, which makes people secretly intoxicated. It feels good. Wei Hong silently savored the process of his own strengthening, and his anxious heart gradually became more at ease. Li Daniu couldn't help but sigh. You can practice the 13 tiger walks so quickly. Brother Hong is amazing. It's just luck. Wei Hong answered modestly. Take a break, don't work too hard. Li Daniu advised. Okay. Wei Hong pretended to be tired and panted heavily, and decisively sat aside to rest. Although he still has the energy to practice again, even if he is tired, he can quickly recover his physical strength by adding a point to his health value, and it is not a problem to practice 10 or 8 times a day. But he still chose to hide his shortcomings wisely. Just now, practicing 13 moves in a row has attracted the attention of others. If he practices a few more times, I'm afraid that even a fool would know that he is up to something. Let's go home and practice again. Wei Hong recalled the feeling of clarity just now, and his mood couldn't help but get better. Fortunately, he took advantage of the Cold Clothes Festival to earn a wave of vitality. If it weren't for adding some points to his life value, it would not be easy for him to practice the pile power so quickly. Now he can practice the 13 moves of Tiger in one breath, and the tempering effect will naturally increase exponentially. As long as he studies hard and practices hard, he can reach 200 kilograms of arm strength in less than half a year. Of course, this is the most conservative estimate. If he can earn more vitality points every day, then this time will be greatly reduced. In the afternoon, the butcher shop really closed early. Wei Hong also received 3 kilograms of pig offal, plus 200 coins of reward money. The reward money is so much? It's generous. Wei Hong secretly smacked his lips. What's that? Li Daniu joked cheerfully, are you so happy about the 200 wen reward? A formal knifeman gets 500 wen. They have good skills and work hard, so it's only right that they earn a lot. Wei Hong said indifferently, and don't we have the opportunity to become formal knifemen in the future? That's right. Li Daniu murmured with a face full of longing. The monthly salary of a knifeman is as high as 3 taels, and the rewards during festivals are generous. The unsold pig offal can be taken home at will. I dare not dream of such a good thing. Wei Hong laughed dumbly, and he also had longing in his heart. Compared with the monthly silver of just over 1 tael for the waiters and night watchmen in the restaurant, and the hard-earned money of several hundred when earned by the aunties in the slums who help people wash clothes every day, 3 taels of monthly silver is definitely a high income. At least if you save a little, it won't be difficult to support a family of 3. The future is promising. Wei Hong sighed. Please vote, please vote. Chapter 11, Stove Charcoal, Water and Land Dock. Squeak. Pushing open the simple door, Wei Hong returned home carrying the pig offal. He saw his grandfather mending clothes at a glance. The old man squinted his cloudy eyes and used the weak light to mend an old coat that had already been worn out. Grandpa, let me do it. Wei Hong put down what he was holding and rushed over to help. Brother Hong is back. Old Wei said with a smile, why did you get off work so early today? It's a festival, so I'll get off work early. Wei Hong sewed skillfully, and said without raising his head, business is good today. The boss gave me 200 coins and 3 caddies of pig offal. I bought 40 caddies of brown rice from Liu's rice shop on East Street, and the shop gave me 2 caddies more. Grandpa, please pick it up. Hey, good, good. Old Wei glanced at the rice bag, and his face became even happier. With these brown rice, I don't have to worry about the next 3 months. How can dozens of caddies of brown rice last for 3 months? Grandpa, don't drink porridge every day to save food. Wei Hong complained dissatisfiedly, if so, what if your body collapses? No, no. Old Wei smiled, old people don't eat much? Today is a festival, let's have a good meal together. After saying that, he stood up with a hunched body. First, pour the brown rice into the rice jar, and then turn over the pig offal. There's still a small jar of pickles, half a salted fish, 2 pieces of tofu, and a handful of wild vegetables at home. Old Wei chattered, Why don't we make some soup? No hurry. Wei Hong instructed without raising his head. Cut some offal and send it to Grandma Wang and Uncle Lu. We only need to keep 1 pound of the 3 pounds of pig offal, otherwise it will be a waste if we can't eat it. Okay, okay. Old Wei nodded in agreement. Although this slum is a mixed bag, there are also many honest neighbors. Wei Hong and his grandson have been taken care of by others in the past. Now that life is easier, they naturally want to help their neighbors. Meat is not easy to preserve, and the grandson can't eat 3 pounds in one meal. There is not much salt at home for pickling, so it's better to give it away. Old Wei cut 2 pounds of offal neatly, carried them and went out. Wei Hong sewed his torn jacket in a few seconds, washed his hands and started to prepare dinner. But there is no soy sauce or seasoning at home. There is only a small bowl of lard and half a jar of salt. In this situation, even if Wei Hong is a good cook, it is difficult to make delicious food. He thought about it and could only use a clay pot to wash the rice and stew a pot of rice. Soon, the small shack was filled with smoke. Wei Hong was busy and familiar with it. He threw half of the salted fish into the rice and steamed it together. The pickles and lard were simply stir-fried to make a small dish to go with the rice. The tofu was cut into pieces and thrown into the pot with wild vegetables, and water was added to boil. Finally, the clean pig offal was added, and a simple pot of wild vegetable tofu and pig soup was cooked. The taste is always a bit worse due to the lack of ginger, cooking wine and other seasonings. Wei Hong frowned regretfully. But it is not easy to be full, and now I am not qualified to ask for too much. After the meal was ready, while my grandfather was not back yet, he placed the food on the table made of broken wooden boards and put the unburned charcoal in the stove into a jar. The residue after the firewood was burned can be obtained by sealing it with a jar to obtain the most common stove charcoal. This kind of charcoal is very humid, and when it burns, it will produce thick smoke and easily raise flying ash. The rich and powerful will naturally disdain to use it, but it is the most important hidden treasure for ordinary poor people in winter. Brother Hong, are you done? Near dusk, Old Wei pushed the door open with a cold body. Wash your hands and eat. Wei Hong set up the bowls and chopsticks, and asked casually, Grandpa, how much charcoal do we have in stock? There should be 180 kilograms of stove charcoal. Old Wei thought about it and shook his head in distress, but this winter may be colder. Without 1,000 kilograms of charcoal, we may not survive this winter. When I bought rice just now, I took a look at the price of charcoal. Wei Hong sighed worriedly. This year, even the cheapest stove charcoal costs 1 tael and 8 cents per 1,000 kilograms, and ash charcoal costs 5 taels and 3 cents per 1,000 kilograms. How can we buy charcoal? The winter in Chengdu has always been cold. Without enough charcoal for heating, it is indeed a big problem to survive the winter. In addition to stove charcoal and ash flower charcoal, there are also more expensive silver bone charcoal and gold thread silver bone charcoal on the market, but those are only affordable for the rich and powerful. Wei Hong's family can hardly afford even the cheapest stove charcoal. Let's eat first. Old Wei smiled awkwardly and picked up the bowl, twitching and saying, I'll go outside the city later to see if I can chop some firewood. Don't. Wei Hong hurriedly stopped him. How can you go chop firewood in your body? Besides, the mountains and forests within 100 miles of the divine capital have long been cut down. There are forests in the Royal Forest Garden, but civilians who dare to cut them down will be beheaded. You'd better save your energy. That's right. Old Wei looked a little depressed. These days, it's not just the grandfather and grandson who need charcoal to survive the winter. There are millions of poor people in the entire divine capital, plus the mountain people in various villages who cut down trees on a large scale. It is very difficult to find firewood during this time of winter. Old Wei already has 2 jobs, and he is powerless to make more money. Wei Hong didn't have to worry about food and drink in the butcher shop, but he didn't have any wages. It seems that I have to think of a way. Wei Hong slowed down his chewing and thought about it. He could only think of 2 ways, either go to the water and land dock to carry a big bag, or go fishing. Because of the memory of his previous life, when Wei Hong was 4 or 5 years old, he would go to the river outside the city to catch fish and shrimps. When he was older, he would cast a net to catch fish to supplement his family income. So at this time, the first thing he thought of was naturally fishing. In addition, Wei Hong's strength increased greatly because of martial arts training, barely comparable to that of an ordinary adult. At this time, if he was willing to go to the water and land dock to carry a big bag and work hard after work. In a month, even if it was a part-time job, he could make a lot of money. There are constant ships at the water and land dock. I heard that diligent people can earn 2 or 3 taels of hard-earned money in a month. If I work hard every day, it shouldn't be difficult to earn some money for charcoal, rice and noodles. In addition, fishing is my old skill. At the very least, I can cast a few nets, but I can't be short of food and drink. The more Wei Hong thought about it, the more he felt that it made sense, so he took the opportunity to express his thoughts. Old Wei was both relieved and ashamed. He smiled bitterly and said, "I have no choice but to thank you, Hong. If you hadn't been sensible all these years, we would have frozen to death or starved to death." "What are you talking about, Grandpa? You raised me when I was young, so how can I not take care of you when you are old?" Wei Hong picked up a piece of salted fish for him and solemnly assured him, "Don't worry, we will be able to live a good life soon." Okay. Old Wei was so relieved that he couldn't help but sigh. "Hong, you are filial, and our family will always have a future. It's a pity for your Grandma Wang and Uncle Lu's family, Alice. Please vote." Chapter 12. Life is full of ups and downs, and you need to take on tasks in times of crisis. Talking about the recent situation of the neighbors, Old Wei sighed and lamented. "Your grandmother Wang's family has had a very difficult time these years. She worked hard to raise her 2 granddaughters. When they were young, she was worried that they would be targeted by kidnappers. When they grew up, she was worried that they would be bullied by ruffians. The 3 of them help people wash clothes all day long to make a living. The money they earn is not enough to pay the head fee. They weave cloth and make shoes under the starlight every night. Their eyes must be damaged. They were embarrassed to accept the pig offal I sent them just now. They accepted it after much persuasion. The 2 girls are so skinny that they probably don't have any meat on weekdays." Wei Hong listened patiently and sighed in his heart. He was very familiar with Grandma Wang's family. He had received a lot of care from her when he was a child. Her 2 granddaughters were just a little younger than him. It goes without saying how hard the 3 women lived in the slums full of wolves and tigers. Our life is still acceptable. Please help us if you can in the future." Wei Hong agreed casually. "Yes." Old Wei nodded with satisfaction, and continued to sigh. "Your Uncle Lu is also very miserable. When he was young, he was a well-known figure in the government office. Unfortunately, he offended someone and was dismissed from his post, and his left leg was broken. Now he is alone with his wife and children separated. Anyone can step on him. He makes a living by pulling night incense for the dung gang every day. The whole person has lost the spirit of his youth." Wei Hong fell silent again. In his impression, Uncle Lu is an agile and high-spirited constable who often hates evil and punishes evil and promotes good. In the past, he even protected the neighbors around him. But once he lost power, he fell into the quagmire. The gangsters and villains who had been dealt with by him often took pleasure in bullying him. How can such a variety of life not make people sigh? And this kind of tragedy can be said to be a lot in the slums. Everyone in the world is suffering. Let's take care of ourselves first. Wei Hong sighed and advised, "Grandpa, you should go to bed early. There have been strange incidents in Green Willow Street these days. You should stay away from the night watch." "Okay." Old Wei said with a distressed face, "Brother Hong, you should also wash up and go to bed early. You have to go to work later." After that, the old man began to clean up the dishes. Wei Hong did not rush to help. He looked at the sky and saw that it was still early, and then looked at his small shack, and simply ran to a remote and deserted alley nearby to practice. Today's practice in the butcher shop was not enough. Coupled with the stimulation of strange events, Wei Hong was bored and uneasy, so he simply practiced to divert his attention. He took off his shirt and lay on the bumpy mud road in the alley with his upper body naked. Gritting his teeth, he continued to practice 13 tiger movements. Ha! Ha! The first move is a fierce tiger descending from the mountain. The second move is a hungry tiger pouncing on sheep. The third move is a tiger roaring in all directions. Wei Hong practiced at a steady pace, breathing 9,981 times for each move. Every inch of muscle in his body trembled under the high-intensity exercise, and sweat kept pouring out of his pores. Ha! Ha! Wei Hong panted heavily. After experiencing extreme fatigue again, his body became slightly stronger, and his muscles became stronger and stronger. This feeling is really fascinating and enjoyable. At the same time, He completely put aside the uneasiness in his heart, and his heart felt peaceful and comfortable. Continue. Wei Hong gritted his teeth and immersed himself in crazy practice again. The way of martial arts is nothing more than strengthening muscles through physical exercise and absorbing energy from food to strengthen oneself. Every practice of 13 moves of Tiger requires a huge amount of energy and blood. After the second round of practice, Wei Hong finally collapsed on the ground exhausted. Not only was he too tired to move, but his stomach was empty and hungry. I'm so tired, I'm too confident. With my current physique, practicing 3 times a day is still a bit difficult. It would be great if I could kill pigs and sheep every day to earn vitality. Wei Hong couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He resisted the fatigue and climbed up from the ground. He added 1 vitality to his life value, and after his body gradually recovered some strength, he rushed home to wash and rest. Fortunately, he was full of energy after practicing martial arts. Sleeping for 2 or 3 hours a day can make him energetic. Otherwise, Wei Hong would not dare to squeeze himself so hard. In the second half of the night, Wei Hong went to work in the butcher shop on time as usual. As a result, he found that the atmosphere was not right when he arrived at the shop. Everyone's faces were full of anxiety and panic. Lu Kang and Jiang Kui are really dead. Li Daniu came over and reminded in a low voice. Hiss. Wei Hong took a breath of cold air. Although he had been mentally prepared, he was still a little shocked when he heard the news. Li Daniu continued, they died in Li's house. No one knows when they entered. We only know that the government found the bodies at the crime scene of Li's house. It is said that their blood seemed to be drained out, and they had a satisfied smile on their faces, as if they had had sex with someone before they died. Now everyone is panicking, fearing that everyone who went to deliver goods yesterday would be provoked by the weird. Wei Hong's eyebrows jumped wildly when he heard this. If he encounters such a weirdness now, I'm afraid he won't get any benefit at all. When the enemy comes, the general will stop it. When the water comes, the earth will cover it. Wei Hong smiled bitterly and comforted, life and death are determined by fate. We may not be so unlucky to be targeted. That's right. Li Daniu could only comfort himself in this way. While talking, Zhu Sihei came over with a stinky face and scolded, what are you yelling about? The matter of Lu Kang and Jiang Kui will be handled by the Evil Suppression Division. Why don't you work quickly? You don't want your wages, right? Everyone didn't dare to say much when they heard this, and hurriedly started to get busy. It's just 2 lives, who really cares? Life has to go on. As long as it doesn't involve me, it's just a few sighs. Daniu, you'll be the butcher from today. Zhu Sihei suddenly arranged. Me. Li Daniu was shocked. Big boss, are you kidding? What a joke, there's not enough manpower now, who else can do it if you don't? Zhu Sihei snorted coldly, I know you don't have enough strength, but it doesn't matter. From now on, you'll only be responsible for killing sheep, okay? No problem, absolutely no problem. Li Daniu's eyes lit up with excitement. His long-awaited wish was fulfilled ahead of schedule, so how could he not agree? Wei Hong couldn't help but secretly surprised when he heard this. He didn't care whether Lu Kang and Jiang Kui died or not, but he was happy to see Li Daniu take over as the butcher because their deaths led to a shortage of manpower in the butcher shop. Because in this way, he could use the opportunity of cooperating with Li Daniu to kill sheep to make a living, which was obviously much better than working hard for several years before he could officially kill pigs. I will find 2 more apprentices to do odd jobs in a few days. Zhu Sihei turned to look at Wei Hong and said, you have to work harder these days. You have to take over all the work that Daniu used to do. Is that okay? Sure. Don't worry, boss. Wei Hong readily agreed. Zhu Sihei nodded with satisfaction, and his frown relaxed a little. Chapter 13 Heaven is cruel, all things are pigs and dogs. Brother Daniu, congratulations. After Zhu Sihei left, Wei Hong immediately bowed his hands to congratulate him. The surrounding knifemen also cast kind eyes at Li Daniu. After all, from today on, he is no longer an apprentice who can be driven by others, and he will naturally gain the respect of others. Li Daniu scratched his head with a silly smile, and said a little helplessly, I am also lucky, otherwise I would not be able to become a knifeman so quickly. It doesn't matter. Wei Hong comforted casually, whether it is lucky or not, it is always good to become a knifeman. At most, you can buy a few soups and medicines to replenish your strength after you get your first monthly allowance. Isn't it easy to break through 200 kilograms of arm strength? That's right. Li Daniu smiled happily. Brother Daniu, I want to discuss something with you. Wei Hong lowered his voice and said straight to the point, I like to play with knives. Can I bleed all the pigs and sheep you are responsible for in the future? Hey, it's not a big deal. Li Daniu said nonchalantly, if you like to use a knife, then you can do it. It's just right to help me, but can you handle the odd jobs by yourself? Of course I can. Wei Hong's face was full of determination. He didn't care whether it was hard or not to do odd jobs alone. As long as he could kill animals every day to earn a living, he would do it no matter how hard or tiring it was. Okay. Li Daniu didn't say much and went straight to the sheepfold to catch sheep. After a while, a black goat was thrown onto the chopping board with its legs tied. Wei Hong took the time to sharpen the butcher knife and stabbed it neatly. Puff. Warm blood splashed out. The black goat immediately died in a convulsion. Wei Hong silently enjoyed the pleasure of killing for a while. Without hesitation, he turned around to boil water and do odd jobs, leaving Li Daniu alone to skin the goat. In this way, Wei Hong not only earned life, but also did not delay work. Li Daniu did not mind someone helping him bleed. The two of them hit it off and got what they needed, and they cooperated tacitly. Ling. Life plus 12, Ling. Life plus 13, Ling. Life plus 11, system prompts kept ringing. Wei Hong felt a burst of joy, and the smile on his mouth never stopped. This kid, is he crazy? Li Daniu felt a chill, and really couldn't understand what kind of bad taste he had. It's just killing a sheep, is it so happy? I've only heard that butchers killed too many evil obstacles and were afraid that they would fall into the 18th level of hell after death. Where have I seen Wei Hong kill and still be happy? Brother Hong, why don't you take it easy? Li Daniu couldn't help but advise, I heard that killing too many lives will bring bad retribution. Heaven is cruel, all things are pigs and dogs. Wei Hong raised his eyebrows and sneered, if you don't kill and I don't kill, there will always be others who will come to kill. We butchers' job is to kill, so why bother too much? I just want to live a good life in this life, who cares whether I will have blessings in the next life? That's right. Li Daniu scratched his head, not knowing how to refute. Let's not talk about that for now. Wei Hong threw firewood into the boiler for boiling water while asking, my family has been a little tight on money lately, and I was thinking about going to the water and land dock to carry heavy bags. Do you know the tricks? Li Daniu didn't find it strange to hear this. He thought for a while and said, with your current strength, you can barely carry heavy bags if you work, but you probably won't make much? Really? Wei Hong looked up in surprise. I heard that people say that carrying heavy bags at the dock can make a lot of money. If you work hard, you can make 2 or 3 taels a month. How can I not make money if I go there? You probably don't know that there are also some rules for carrying heavy bags at the dock. Li Daniu knew a lot about this, and said, the water and land dock is the only place where the prefectures of various states dock in Chengdu. During the day, all kinds of cruise ships, pleasure boats, and building ships can even block the river. Cargo ships often choose to dock at night or in the early morning. If you are willing to stay up late and work hard to carry heavy bags, it is not difficult to earn 2 or 3 taels of silver in a month. Those who are strong can even carry 4 or 5 taels of silver. But where can you find work after work in the afternoon? And even if there is work, the dock gang will have to take a cut. How much can you get? I used to want to carry heavy bags, but I won't mention it in the end. The more Li Daniu talked, the darker his face became. Obviously, the job at the dock is not so easy. Wei Hong is a person who listens to advice. After thinking about it, he felt that there was some truth. The butcher shop closes at 3:45 p.m. in the afternoon, and the city gate closes at 5:45 p.m. I only have 1 hour and 2/4 of an hour. Wei Hong calculated in his heart, excluding the time for going back and forth on the road, there is at most half an hour, which seems to be not enough to carry heavy bags. In the end, he smiled helplessly. Since carrying heavy bags is not feasible, the only way is to go fishing. Half an hour was enough for him to work by the river for a while. With his skills, he would definitely catch a good amount of fish. Whether he delivered them to restaurants or asked his grandfather to sell them in the market, he would make some money. Let's do it. Wei Hong decisively decided on the next itinerary. In addition to working in the butcher shop every day, he had to go fishing outside the city in the evening to earn extra money, and then find time to practice at night. In short, his schedule must be packed. Children of poor families grow up early. If you want the grandfather and grandson to have a good winter, you must work harder. In the early hours of the morning, Li Dania finally completed the task of the day and killed a total of 6 sheep. Wei Hong, who was using the knife, also gained 75 vitality points. He added 70 of them to his health without hesitation. Ling. Vitality minus 70, HP plus 0.7, current HP. 7.2 host, Wei Hong age. 16/47 vitality points. 5 HP. 7.2 realm, Nun Kung Fu. 13 tiger movements entry level, 67 out of 100 magic powers, Nun skills, cooking minor success, 84 out of 100, fishing entry level, 63 out of 100, slaughtering entry level, 58 out of 100 hint. 100 points of vitality can increase lifespan by 1 year, 10 points of vitality can increase HP by 0.1, and 1 point of vitality can increase skill proficiency by 1 point. Duangdong. Duangdong. A strong stream of qi and blood rushed into his body crazily. Wei Hong only felt his heart beating crazily. He felt as if he was about to burst, and his whole body was filled with endless energy. Next time, it's better to add some before practicing, so that I can maximize the use of qi and blood. Wei Hong calculated and concluded in his mind. According to his observations during this period, life value is a very complex general term, which can be regarded as a summary of physique, strength, and qi and blood. In short, the stronger the life value, the stronger the vitality of the human body, the more vigorous the qi and blood, and the powerful vitality in the body can continuously relieve fatigue and repair hidden injuries. However, the stronger the life value does not mean the stronger the physique and strength. After the qi and blood are increased out of thin air, they must be transformed through effective exercise and hard training, and finally promote the continuous enhancement of physique and strength. So, I still have to continue to practice hard. Wei Hong smacked his lips, and a bold idea suddenly popped up in his mind. Since there is not enough time to practice every day, why not integrate the standing meditation into daily life? Wouldn't it be possible to practice anytime, anywhere? Please vote and read on. Chapter 14, The Path of Standing Meditation, Returning to Old Business. I have to admit that Wei Hong's sudden idea is really crazy. He is a novice who has just learned Huanggong. He hasn't learned to walk yet, but he actually wants to run. If he tells others about it, he will probably be laughed to death. But after experiencing the information explosion era in his previous life, Wei Hong's thinking is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Naturally, he will not be bound by rules and regulations. Give it a try. Although I can't do the movements of Tiger Walk 13 styles anytime and anywhere, many of its breathing tips can be integrated into life. Wei Hong took a deep breath. While cleaning the blood on the ground, he began to try it distractedly. The breathing key of the first style of Zhuangguang is 3 fast and 1 slow, and at the same time, you have to control the blood and qi to gather to the neck, shoulder blades, and waist muscles. This breathing method seems simple, but it is a bit difficult to operate. Moreover, Wei Hong did not do the first style of prone position. If he wanted to guide the blood and qi with his mind alone, the difficulty would naturally increase tenfold or 100-fold. Wei Hong tried several times and finally changed his breathing method. Although it is very easy to be interrupted, and the blood and qi are not directed to the key position, the training effect is almost zero. But it is a new road after all. Gradually, he began to try to imagine himself practicing on the ground. By shaking his body unconsciously and slightly, he began to mobilize the blood and qi with a breathing method, and the skin on his neck, shoulder blades, and waist gradually became more flushed. It works. Wei Hong was very surprised. Although the effect is not 1/10 of that when he was practicing in a prone position. But as long as it works, he has the confidence to continue to study. In the end, he will walk out a martial arts road different from others. Unfortunately, it is not easy to integrate the pile training into daily life. Wei Hong tried many times but still couldn't grasp the trick. Moreover, his mind is easily disturbed when he is working. As long as his breathing is disordered, all his previous efforts will be wasted, which really makes him very upset. Don't worry, take your time. As long as the path is right, it will work one day. Wei Hong silently comforted himself, and his mentality gradually calmed down. He was no longer in a hurry to achieve success, but relaxed his mind. He tried to distract himself and control his breathing again and again while doing odd jobs, believing that he would succeed one day. In the afternoon, Wei Hong, who had been busy all day, hurried off work, went home to get his fishing tools, and rushed out of the city. Chengdu occupies a huge area, with a radius of hundreds of miles. There are as many as 16 city gates alone. It took a long time to get from home to the city gate. Cross the moat bridge with a constant flow of people. In front of you is a wide and flat dirt road. The road is full of carriages and people inside and outside, and various caravans, wealthy families, farmers, hunters, and art team scholars shuttle through it, stirring up clouds of dust. There are all kinds of tea stalls and stables on both sides of the road, where outsiders can stop and rest. Occasionally, you can see many ragged refugees and many guide boys soliciting customers. Once, Wei Hong was one of them. Every day, he solicited customers outside the city gate and led outsiders to visit relatives and friends in the streets and alleys. After running around all day, he only earned a few dozen copper coins for running errands. It was really hard work. Brother Hong, are you going fishing again? Didn't you go to the butcher shop as an apprentice? Why are you doing your old job again? Several familiar guides teased and joked. Go away. Wei Hong said unhappily, apprentices don't get paid, and there is no rice, flour, grain, oil, charcoal and fire at home as winter approaches. If I don't go fishing, will I starve to death? Ha ha ha. The teenagers laughed at him again, attracting the attention of passers-by. Wei Hong didn't chat with them too much. He waved his hand casually and walked quickly to the river. There is a Kanglin River in the southeast of Chengdu that runs through several prefectures. The widest part of the river is several hundred meters. It is rumored that there were dragons appearing and turning the clouds in rain, and there were also giant turtles weighing thousands of pounds swallowing the moonlight. It is indeed a feng shui treasure land. This time he was going to a remote river branch near the water and land dock. It was not too far from the city gate, with a large bamboo forest behind it. The river meandered down to the northwest, irrigating countless villages and cities along the way. Wei Hong had neither a boat nor professional fishing tools. Therefore, he was not worthy of messing around in the Kanglin River, and could only toss around in this river. Today he was carrying a backpack with a wooden barrel and an old fishing net in it. The wooden barrel also contained some pig blood, rice noodles, brown rice crumbs, wheat bran and other scattered things. Wei Hong casually put the fish basket on the grass. He quickly lay on the river and fumbled for a while, and soon he fished out 3 shrimp baskets that he had hidden before from the water grass. They were only 4 or 5 feet long, and they were all woven by himself with bamboo strips. In the past, every time I hid the shrimp basket in the water grass, I would definitely have a big harvest the next day. Either I harvested a batch of small fish and shrimps, or I caught a few crabs. Occasionally, if you're lucky, you can catch a few water snakes to nourish your grandfather. But recently I have been busy as an apprentice in a butcher shop. I haven't cleaned up for more than half a month, and the 3 fish baskets have been filled with silt and dead fish and shrimp. Wei Hong cleaned them up casually, put the few shrimps into the wooden barrel, and then installed them in the shallow water again. Come over tomorrow, I will definitely get a lot. Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction, and then got busy again. The 3 shrimp baskets are just appetizers, catching big fish is the key. He quickly mixed the pig blood, rice flour, brown rice, and wheat bran he brought according to the proportion, and added a few drops of rice wine to stir. A mixture suitable for making nests is ready. This is the fishing secret he has studied. Because there is no boat and a good fishing net, the ordinary method of casting a net to fish is not suitable for Wei Hong. He thought hard and thought of this method that suits him. After mixing the simple bait for nesting, Wei Hong directly threw the crudely made fishing nets into the backwater bend, letting them sink to the bottom of the water before he began to throw the bait on the water's surface. After a while, there was movement underwater. Some fish kept gathering from all directions to compete for the bait. They stirred up the underwater and occasionally glimpsed some big fish. Tisk tisk tisk, the fishery resources in this world are really rich. If the fishermen saw it, they would kneel down and beg for a position, right? Wei Hong laughed at himself. Suddenly, he saw a silver figure flash by underwater. Hiss! Wei Hong took a breath of cold air. Without hesitation, he pulled hard. The 4 corners of the old fishing net had been tied with ropes. At this moment, he pulled it hard, and the fishing net was pulled up from the bottom of the water, and all the greedy fish were caught together. Flutter, flutter. The fish struggled frantically, almost breaking the fishing net. Wei Hong lifted up the net with ease, only to find it was heavy. There were dozens of kilograms of fish of all sizes caught in the net. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 is like finding a treasure, a great boost to your energy and blood. Carp, catfish, cowtail, big-bellied fish. Wei Hong dragged the fishing net to the shallow water and immediately began to pick up fish. There were all kinds of fish in the net. The big ones weighed 5 or 6 pounds, and the small ones weighed 1 or 2 pounds, with a total of about 40 or 50 pounds. It must be said that the fishery resources here are indeed rich. However, most of these fish are worthless. Only a silver, slender, pointed-mouthed fish made him feel like he had found a treasure. Silver knife fish. Wei Hong was surprised. He never expected that he would catch such a precious thing in the first net after not coming to the river to fish for a long time. It is rumored that this is a fish species with the blood of spiritual fish. It hides deep in the rivers and has an amazing speed. Even experienced fishermen find it difficult to catch it. It not only has delicate and delicious meat, but also greatly replenishes ki and blood. Therefore, it is sought after by the rich and powerful, and each one is expensive. What a shame. Wei Hong carefully put the silver knife fish into the barrel, while secretly calculating, last time someone caught a 3 jin silver knife fish and sold it for 3 taels and 5 cents of silver. My fish is probably only 1.5 kilograms. I wonder how much it can sell for. As for the other fish, Wei Hong seemed a little disgusted. He picked and chose more than 10 and threw them into the barrel, and released all the others. The prices in this world are very strange. Perhaps it is because the great Zhou dynasty is close to the world of immortal cultivation, and it has been affected by some spiritual energy. The river is flooded with fish and shrimp, and the mountains and forests are full of ferocious beasts. As a result, fish and shrimp are naturally not worth much. Ordinary people cannot afford precious seasonings, and the fish and shrimp cooked are smelly and difficult to swallow. Pickling into salted fish can remove the fishy smell, but salt is 10 times more expensive than meat. Who is willing to waste it like this? Moreover, fish meat is bland, unlike pork, which is oily. When you are hungry, eating fish is not enough. A pound of brown rice boiled into porridge can barely feed a family, but a pound of fish meat will make people hungry in a few minutes. Therefore, in the eyes of ordinary people, fish and shrimp are generally worthless like wild vegetables that can be found everywhere. The restaurant does accept fish. After all, they have seasonings to cook fish deliciously, but they don't accept all fish, so Wei Hong had to select them. Fortunately, I caught a silver knife fish today, otherwise I'm afraid it won't sell for much money. Wei Hong thought about it and decisively cast a few more nets. Unfortunately, the harvest was not big, and the second silver knife fish was not caught. Finally, seeing that it was getting late, Wei Hong decisively packed up and chose to go back. Finally, he returned to the capital of the gods with dozens of kilograms of fish before the city gates were closed. He turned left and right on the street with ease. Finally, he stopped in front of a restaurant called Xinghu Pavilion in Anlifang. "Hey, is that you, Brother Hong?" The young servant standing at the door to greet guests brightened his eyes and said with a smile, "You haven't been here for a while. Didn't I hear that you went to the butcher shop as an apprentice? Why do you smell like fish again today?" "Sixth brother, don't joke. Apprentices in butcher shops don't get paid." Wei Hong sighed helplessly. "How can I survive the winter if I don't go back to my old job? Is shopkeeper Lin here?" "Why?" The young servant joked warmly. "Just throw this little catch to the kitchen and go to the account office to get the money. Do you have to alarm the shopkeeper? I got a silver knife fish by chance." Wei Hong lowered his voice and said, "Please ask the shopkeeper to come and take a look. I'll go to the kitchen first." "Hey." The young servant was full of envy. Wei Hong had already walked into the kitchen from the side door skillfully. After a while, an elegant and refined middle-aged man walked over. His name is Lin Wuishen. He used to be a poor scholar living in a slum. Later, he came here to be a shopkeeper with the help of a nobleman. He also took care of his former neighbors. Most of Wei Hong's fish were collected by him. "I heard that you caught a silver knife fish." Lin Wuisheng smiled and was as gentle as jade. "Lucky, Uncle Lin, take a look." Wei Hong put down the backpack and motioned him to look at the fish in the wooden barrel. The most conspicuous one was the thin silver. Well, not bad. Lin Wusheng obviously knew about silver knife fish. He said with satisfaction, the market price of silver knife fish is 1 tael and 2 jin of silver per catty. You are about 1.5 catties. How about 2 taels? Okay. Wei Hong agreed with satisfaction. He knew that Lin Wusheng was taking care of him. If you go to other restaurants, you will never get this price. Then, the kitchen servants weighed the other fish. A total of 36 catties, 3 wen per catty, a total of 108 copper coins. A total of 2 taels and 108 wen. Lin Wusheng said in a gentle voice, "Go to the account office to collect the money." "Thank you, Uncle Lin." Wei Hong's face was full of joy. "Wait." Lin Wusheng raised his hand to stop him, handed over a bunch of keys and said, "I have a small courtyard in the next street. It may be cold this winter. Take your grandfather to move in when you have time." "Uncle Lin, this is not appropriate." Wei Hong waved his hand awkwardly. "In the capital of God, every inch of land is worth a lot of money. Even the most remote courtyards cost 1 or 2 taels of rent a month. We can't afford to live there." "No problem." Lin Wusheng smiled indifferently. "My courtyard is empty anyway. You two can live there and add some popularity to me. It's better than you living in the slums all the time." "No." Wei Hong shook his head again and refused. "People can be poor but their ambitions cannot be poor. We have hands and feet and can always support ourselves. Grandpa will never accept this kind of help." A trace of appreciation flashed in Lin Wusheng's eyes. Finally, he sighed and said nothing more. After a while, Wei Hong walked out of Xinghu Pavilion holding a small cloth bag. He was in a good mood because he earned more than 2 taels in just one afternoon. At first glance, this harvest seems to be quite a lot. If he were a full-time fisherman every day, he would probably earn more than carrying a large bag at the dock. But in fact, this is not the case. If Wei Hong were a full-time fisherman, he might not be able to catch silver knife fish often, and Xinghu Pavilion would not be able to consume too many fish if he caught too many, and he would not be able to sell them at a high price if he sold them to other restaurants. Moreover, fishing not only requires paying fish tax and boat tax, but also has to deal with the exploitation and extortion of boat gangs. Many fishermen are often so poor that they don't even have a home, and they have to eat and live on the boat. How can it be as comfortable as secretly casting a few nets every now and then? "Shopkeeper Joe, how much is your charcoal?" Wei Hong just took a few steps and turned into a grocery store. A chubby shopkeeper was fiddling with an abacus at the counter. 2 servants were carrying goods, and they were obviously preparing to close the shop. "Hey, isn't this Wei kid?" The fat shopkeeper looked up and said with a smile, 1,000 catties of stove charcoal is 1 liang 9 jin, and 1,000 catties of ash charcoal is 5 liang 5 jin. How much do you want? Why is the price increased again? Wei Hong frowned. "You think it's expensive, but I think it's expensive too." The fat shopkeeper complained dissatisfiedly. "Just wait and see, there will be more price increases in the future." "Okay." Wei Hong directly slapped the small cloth bag on the counter and said, 1,000 catties of stove charcoal, half a catty of coarse salt, send it to my home tomorrow, is that okay? "Hey, you're rich, kid." The fat shopkeeper looked surprised. "It's just luck." Wei Hong chuckled. Chapter 16, 200 kilograms of strength, extraordinary talent. The money from selling fish had not even warmed up yet, but it was all spent. It was not that Wei Hong was a spendthrift, but he was not at ease with the money in his hands. Only by exchanging winter supplies could he avoid being missed by others. Then, the days went by one. Since Wei Hong bought 1,000 kilograms of stove charcoal, the grandfather and grandson had a much better life. He worked hard in the butcher shop every day, practiced a standing exercise and breathing method when he had time, and went out fishing every few days to supplement the family income, and the family gradually became well off. At the same time, Zhu Sihei really found 2 new apprentices. Wei Hong took them to work every day, and he also had more time to practice. Another half-month passed in a flash. Near the end of October, Li Daniu finally brought good news. Ha ha ha. 200 kilograms. I finally broke through the 200 kilograms of arm strength. In the martial arts training ground, Li Daniu lifted a 200 kilograms heavy stone block with one arm. The whole person was trembling with excitement, and the people around him also cast complicated glances. Since he took on the role of a knifeman in advance, he has felt the pressure to study hard. In just half a month, without the help of nourishing medicine, he has increased his arm strength from 180 kilograms to 200 kilograms. It must be said that he has worked hard. Congratulations, Brother Daniel. Wei Hong congratulated him happily. This time you are a legitimate knifeman, and you can also hang a name in the Tiger Head Gang. It's really enviable. Brother Hong, don't tease me. I have worked hard for nearly 3 years to barely reach 200 kilograms of arm strength. Compared with you, it's really. When Li Daniu said this, his joy suddenly turned bitter. Everyone's eyes condensed again. Everyone looked at Wei Hong with a hint of strangeness in their eyes. During this period of time, he helped Li Daniu kill sheep every day. On average, he can kill 5 or 6 sheep a day, which can gain about 60 to 70 vitality. All of this vitality is added to the life value, plus the pile exercise to train the body. Wei Hong's strength is almost steadily increasing at a frequency of 7 to 8 kilograms per day. Now his health has exceeded 20, and he has reached 200 kilograms of arm strength earlier than Li Daniu. Of course, he will not reveal his full strength to the outside world. He deliberately only exposed 120 caddies of arm strength, which shocked the entire butcher shop. Many knifemen no longer dared to be arrogant in front of him, and they spoke with more respect. I didn't expect that this Wei Hong is actually a martial arts genius. The fastest one among us to reach 200 kilograms of arm strength took half a year, and it was all thanks to the nourishing soup and medicine. How can this kid gain so much strength by eating ordinary meals every day? Who knows, this kid is a freak. I see that he changes every day. I'm afraid he will be a knifeman in no time. Damn, didn't he secretly buy soup and medicine for nourishment? Impossible, his family used to live in the slums. It was not easy to fill their stomachs. How could they have money for nourishment? Damn, there are really geniuses in this world? Isn't God too unfair? The knifemen secretly discussed one after another. There were many people who were envious, jealous, and jealous. Wei Hong didn't care about this. The martial arts talent he deliberately showed was enough to shock everyone. No matter how jealous they were, no one dared to bully him openly. After all, no one would be stupid enough to deliberately make an enemy with a future leather refining realm warrior. Huh? Wei Hong collected his mind and continued to practice. He lay on the ground with his bare upper body, shaking his muscles constantly and slightly. Every breath he took was like the sound of thunder, silently tempering every detail of his body. More than a month ago, he was still a thin and shriveled boy, but with the help of the standing meditation and sufficient meat, he has now trained his body to be as strong as copper and iron. Not only has he grown a lot taller, but even his abdominal muscles have been trained. Every muscle is clearly defined, and when it is tense, it is like steel. Against the backdrop of beads of sweat, it is full of violent beauty. Daniel, can we chat? Wang Dazi and Zhao Jichen walked over from the left and right. Both of them had a serious look on their faces that they did not usually have. Li Daniu could not help but feel a little scared when he saw this, and his eyes hesitated inexplicably. The three of them walked aside and chatted for a few words. Wei Hong listened a few times out of curiosity, but unfortunately he could not hear the whole picture clearly. After a while, the conversation between the three ended. Wang Dazi and Zhao Jichen simultaneously showed a threatening look, then patted Li Daniu on the shoulder and turned away, leaving him wiping his cold sweat silently. Brother Daniu, what's the matter? Wei Hong asked curiously. Alice. Li Daniu sighed helplessly. It's still a matter of choosing sides. Oh. Wei Hong roughly understood something after hearing this. Although this butcher shop is not big, the interests involved are not small. On the surface, the big boss Zhu Sihe has the backing of the Tiger Head Gang. He is the only one in the butcher shop, and he makes all the decisions, big or small. But in fact, this is not the case. The second and third bosses are in charge of the purchase channels and delivery respectively. Both of them have 7 or 8 knifemen as their team. Once a new knifeman joins, it is inevitable to choose a side. Where there are people, there are rivers and lakes. Where there are interests, there are bound to be disputes. Wei Hong sighed in his heart. A small butcher shop is not only involved in gangs, but also has all kinds of internal fighting, which is really ridiculous when you think about it. Seeing his expression change, Li Daniu continued to talk to himself. You may not know yet, the third boss has always followed the lead of the big boss, but the second boss has climbed up to Deputy Hall Master of this Hongai Hall of the Tiger Head Gang, and secretly reaped countless benefits. Some time ago, Liu Kang and Jiang Kui died suddenly and inexplicably, so that the big boss's men have shrunk some manpower, and the second boss has become more and more arrogant. Now I have to choose one side between the two of them. In the end, I will definitely offend one of them, and I really don't know who to offend. Wei Hong smiled when he heard this, and couldn't help but joked, if they want to offend, then offend them. Can they kill you? They won't kill you. Li Danier lowered his voice and whispered, but this is related to our future treatment. Treatment? Isn't it a bonus every year and a monthly allowance of 3 taels? Wei Hong was surprised. Of course it's more than that. Li Danier curled his lips and sneered, if you choose the second tier, you will have to go out of the city every day to collect pigs and transport goods. Although it is dangerous, you can also make some money secretly. You can make a lot of money by just shorting a few pounds. Otherwise, why do you think Wang Dazi is so arrogant? If you choose the third tier, you have to kill pigs and deliver goods in the shop. Although it is safer, it is tiring and there is no money. You only get 2 half-price skin refining secret medicines a month. Skin refining secret medicine. Wei Hong's eyes lit up and he immediately became interested. Chapter 17, Elephant Armor Skill, Secret Medicine for Refining Skin. Most martial artists start with Zhuangguang to strengthen their bodies and build their foundation. When they are strong and have a single arm strength of 200 kilograms, they can start to try to refine their skin. It is said that the process of refining the skin is extremely painful, and iron sand and copper water must be applied to the whole body to make the skin membrane invulnerable to swords and guns. Without the help of secret medicine, it is even more painful than slow slicing. This kind of secret medicine is not available casually. In general, drugstores can only provide some nourishing soups. If you want to buy the secret medicine for refining skin, you can only join major forces to have a chance to get it. If you don't want to join a force and be held hostage by others, you must at least pay money to the major martial arts halls to become a disciple in order to buy the secret medicine. The Tiger Head Gang has a secret medicine called Tiger Bone Skin Refining Cream, which is said to be very effective. Li Danier said with a frown, next, I can go to the gang and choose an ordinary skin refining technique to practice. At that time, I will definitely need the assistance of the secret medicine. This Tiger Bone Skin Refining Cream is sold to the outer gang members for 1 tael and 5 cents per portion. The big boss relies on the relationship that his uncle is the hall master, so he naturally seeks good treatment for his knifemen. 2 half-price secret medicines a month are equivalent to saving 1 tael and 5 cents. Seeing his tangled face, Wei Hong probably also understood the trick. On the one hand, following the second boss can make money, and on the other hand, following the big boss and the third boss to buy secret medicines at a low price. Both have their own advantages and disadvantages, which is indeed difficult to choose. How many secret medicines do skin refining warriors need in a month to practice? Wei Hong asked curiously. Of course, the more the better. Li Danier scratched his head and sighed with hope on his face. The secret medicine can relieve pain, stimulate blood, and enhance the effect of skin refining. Those who are not short of money can apply as much as they can. At the same time, they can also use skin refining soup to restore the body to avoid hidden injuries. Of course, we dare not be so extravagant. A secret medicine can last for 3 to 5 days if we use it sparingly. Look at the knifemen in the butcher shop. On weekdays, they just practice standing exercises to strengthen their blood. Only when they get home will they start refining their skin with secret medicine. Do you think they don't want to refine their skin at any time? It's because they are short of money. Wei Hong nodded in agreement, thought for a while and asked, when are you going to choose a martial arts method? Tomorrow. Li Danier said a little dejectedly, after work, I will ask the big boss to advance 2 taels of monthly salary, otherwise I am afraid I won't be able to find any good martial arts by then. I heard that the people in the transmission hall are greedy for money. If you don't give them some money, they will just take some common goods to get by. Only if you give them money can they reluctantly choose 1 or 2. Wei Hong was not surprised by this. In this world, money is needed everywhere. It's strange that people don't block you when it comes to the inheritance of martial arts. Is 2 taels enough? Wei Hong kindly suggested, why don't you ask the big boss to advance more money? He won't refuse it. I have a few big bucks saved from selling fish recently. I will give you some money when the time comes. No, no. Li Danier kept shaking his head and refusing. For us peripheral minions, even if you give us 100 taels, they won't teach us top martial arts. Just give us a little money so that we won't be troubled by others. That's right. Wei Hong nodded in agreement. In fact, even if they wanted to, they couldn't get much money. There is not much difference between 2 or 3 taels and 4 or 5 taels. Just hope that the other party does not take advantage of you. After all, it is easier for the king of hell to meet than for the little devils to deal with. Those who have been struggling from the bottom of society since childhood understand better than anyone else. Brother Hong, with your progress, you should go to the Kung Fu Hall in a month or 2. Li Daniu said mysteriously. You can choose the elephant armor Kung Fu then. Why? Wei Hong was curious. Because we don't have many techniques to choose from. Li Daniu said concisely. The skin refining technique is divided into 4 grades: heaven, earth, black and yellow. Each grade is divided into 3 grades: upper, middle and lower. There are a total of 12 grades. The higher the grade, the more exquisite the technique. In the past, some gang members have summarized that most of the hundreds of techniques selected by the transmission hall for the outer gang members are yellow-level common stuff that are just for show. Only more than 10 can barely be considered as black level. Among them, the 3 most popular ones are elephant armor technique, thick earth skin refining technique and barbarian bear vajra technique. They are passed down completely and are not difficult to practice. They are good choices for people like us. Anyway, I plan to choose elephant armor technique. Then, Li Daniu began to talk endlessly about the exquisiteness of this technique. Its grade is as high as the lower grade of the black level. After practicing it, not only does it make people extremely strong and strong like an ox, but also the blood and ki are as magnificent as a giant elephant, and the whole body is as invulnerable as a layer of thick armor. There are thousands of skin refining techniques in the world. Li Daniu commented with great force. The heaven-level techniques are the secrets of the royal family and the major sects, and the earth-level techniques are not something that ordinary people can reach. What's there to be dissatisfied about for us, the small minions on the periphery of the gang, to be able to practice the lower-grade Zhuan-level techniques? That's right. Wei Hong couldn't help but ask curiously, there are only 3 techniques, why did you choose the elephant armor technique? What if the other 2 are more suitable for you? Hey, with my qualifications, it doesn't matter which technique I choose. Li Daniu blinked and said cunningly, I'm thinking that the big boss will also practice the elephant armor technique. When the time comes, I can ask him for advice when I'm close to him. Wei Hong was immediately overjoyed. This guy looks honest, but he has a lot of thoughts. But in this way, hasn't he made his choice? If you want the big boss to guide you, do you dare to join the second boss? Wei Hong joked with a smile. I dare not, I dare not. Li Daniu grinned and said, in fact, I am not stupid. I don't want to follow the second in command to collect pigs every day. I heard that they wander around in various mountain villages all day long. How can we live in the city safely and freely? Don't let us make money but not spend it. Smart. Wei Hong couldn't help but give a thumbs up. In fact, he didn't want Li Daniu to join the second in command. After all, if he wants to make a living, he has to kill pigs in the shop. If he goes to the mountains and the countryside to collect pigs every day, how can he make a fart? So it's better for him and Li Daniu to stay in the shop to maximize the benefits. Now that Li Daniu has made the right choice, Wei Hong has saved a lot of words. It's a pity that I can't choose the skills now. Wait a little longer. In 2 months, I will announce to the public that I have reached an arm strength of 200 kilograms. By then, it won't attract too much attention. And I heard that the stronger the blood and ki, the higher the efficiency of skin refining. It's good to settle for 2 more months. Sharpening the knife does not delay chopping wood. Wei Hong thought about it and quickly finalized his development plan. He has a golden finger in his hand, so he can develop steadily as long as he stays alive, so he naturally doesn't mind spending more time. Please vote and support. Chapter 18. The key to skin refining is to restrain the ki and blood. Today, let's talk about the elephant armor skill. November 1st. It was the day for the 3 bosses to teach again. It just so happened that Li Daniu had chosen to join the boss. Zhu Sihei was in a good mood and simply came out to instruct everyone in person. He stood with his hands behind his back, scanning the people in the martial arts field with a burning gaze. The elephant armor skill is one of the most common skin refining skills practiced by the Tiger Hut gang and even the entire Great Zhou dynasty. It has been passed down for thousands of years and has spawned hundreds of versions. The skin refining skills taught in various sects and martial arts halls are different, but the principles are similar. They all use crushed stones and iron sand to smear themselves crazily, and then beat them with sticks to make their own skin membrane stronger, and finally reach the point of being invulnerable to swords and guns. The general practice methods of various skin refining skills are the same, but the actual circulation of ki and blood, secret medicines, and quenching sequences are all different. Elephant armor skill is no exception. Zhu Sihei talked freely and kept telling about his own practice experience. Li Daniu and other swordsmen who chose the elephant armor kung fu were naturally fascinated by what they heard. Most of the swordsmen who chose other cultivation methods also listened attentively. After all, the world's martial arts are similar, and it is still good for them to learn by analogy. As for Wei Hong, he has not yet started to refine his skin, so he can only barely understand the general idea. After a brief explanation, Zhu Sihei began to practice it himself. A big pot had already been set up in the middle of the martial arts training ground. The pot was frying fine stones and iron sand, which looked steaming hot, and the temperature was obviously not low. Zhu Sihei was shirtless and clenched his fists. The blood and ki in his body were madly condensed on his skin, vaguely as if he was wearing a layer of armor, and all kinds of scars were all over his membrane, as terrifying as gold and iron. At the same time, his body seemed to have grown a lot. His already tall body became even more sturdy and burly. With every breath, it seemed as if a volcano was erupting in his body, and the flow of blood and ki made the sound of rivers and waves. See? The skin refining realm is the lowest level of martial artists, but if you practice to the extreme, you can also have the power to kill gods and Buddhas. In addition to refining your skin, you must not slack off in your practice of standing still. You must know that only when your body is full of ki and blood can you go further. For beginners of the elephant armor skill, use crushed stones and iron sand to temper the body. The temperature should not be too high to avoid burning the skin and causing disability. When iron sand rubs the skin, it will cause severe pain. Although the secret medicine can alleviate this severe pain, it still needs the assistance of ki and blood. You can try to integrate the standing still breathing method into it. Zhu Sihei explained and began to demonstrate. He first scooped a blood-red paste with a faint fragrance from a small white ceramic jar and applied it on his body. It is not difficult to guess that it is the secret medicine of the Tiger Hut Gang, tiger bone skin refining paste. Then he put his hands into the iron pot without hesitation, rubbing them repeatedly in the hot iron sand and gravel. After the membrane was washed red and burnt black, he began to rub the iron sand all over his body with his hands. Hiss! Wei Hong couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. How hot must the red-hot iron sand be? How dare he rub it on his body with his hands? Just looking at it is enough to make people shudder. Okay. This is nothing. Li Danier whispered on the side. The big Dang Tao demonstrated only the basic skin refining method. As the membrane becomes stronger, it is said that copper water will be used to wash the whole body. Wei Hong was speechless. It is worthy of being a world of immortal cultivation. Such a crazy cultivation method is okay? Are you sure it won't make people sick? Moreover, the skin refining realm is so exaggerated, how terrible will the next blood refining, bone refining, organ refining, and innate realm be? There are also the immortal cultivators who are said to be invisible. Can they really move mountains and fill the sea? This world is really fascinating. Wei Hong murmured in his heart, looking forward to witnessing the infinite scenery in the future. However, all he can do now is to move forward step by step with his feet on the ground. Anyway, he can also add some extra life, and he is not worried about not living to be invincible. He is confident that he can step on the scenery of the world one by one. By the way, Wei Hong asked curiously, how to distinguish the strength of the skin refining realm? Is it to compare whose skin membrane is harder? Of course it is not that simple. Li Daniu explained in a low voice, the skin membrane in the skin refining realm is not just hardening. While the warrior grinds the skin membrane with iron sand to make it harder and thicker, it will also soften the skin membrane with power, just like a blacksmith hammering iron, and finally make the skin membrane soft and hard freely. The skin refining realm is divided into 4 small realms: initial stage, middle stage, late stage, and perfect stage. Take me as an example. I have just started to contact skin refining. Only when the skin membrane is sharpened to the point that it can withstand the burst of blood and ki in the whole body for more than 3 breaths, it can be considered to have entered the initial stage. Wei Hong seemed a little puzzled. What is the principle? What is the connection between the membrane and the burst of ki and blood? Li Daniu scratched his head awkwardly and said with a wry smile, Actually, I don't really understand it either. I just heard that the human body is like a bucket, with qi and blood as water and the membrane as the bucket. The key to tempering the membrane is not how hard it is. After all, no matter how strong the defense is, there are magic weapons that can break it. The real key is to gather the qi and blood. Look at the big guy when he practices. Once he uses all his strength, the qi and blood in his body will surge. Isn't the whole person a lot taller than usual? Wei Hong nodded secretly when he saw this. Even a fool can see this. Zhu Sihei is like Popeye eating spinach. Not only did his body suddenly surge, but his arms, thighs and other parts were also frighteningly strong. Could this be because of the excessive qi and blood? In the early stage of the skin refining realm, when the qi and blood are fully opened, the body will grow by at least 3 inches. Li Daniu continued to chatter, if the membrane is not tough enough, the skin will burst and the blood will burst in an instant. In the middle stage of the skin refining realm, when the qi and blood are fully opened, the body can increase by 6 inches. In the late stage of the skin refining realm, it is 9 inches, and in the perfect stage of the skin refining realm, it is as high as more than 12 inches. Can you imagine how terrifying this is? It is said that warriors in the blood refining realm are even more terrifying. If the membrane is not tempered thoroughly enough, when fighting with others, the opponent can directly blow you up with one punch. Wei Hong's eyebrows jumped wildly. He always thought that the skin refining realm was a hard skill like the golden bell cover and iron cloth shirt, and he only needed to train the membrane to be invulnerable to swords and guns. But who knew that the martial arts in this world are not simple? Defense is just a byproduct, and the key is to train an impeccable membrane to lay the foundation. So that's it. Wei Hong took a deep breath and silently memorized this knowledge. He actually knew nothing about martial arts, and now there was no one to guide him. He could only learn a little from what he heard sporadically. He was far behind the rich and powerful who had inherited the knowledge from their masters. But he didn't care. After all, he had countless opportunities to try and fail. Just keep your feet on the ground and take one step at a time. Chapter 19, To Stand Out? Cultivation and Selection. After an instant of time, Zhu Sihei roughly described the skin refining method of Ziyang Jiagong. Everyone was fascinated by it, and more or less everyone gained something. Let's stop here today. Zhu Sihei exhaled and slowly ended the exercise. While wiping the sweat with a brocade handkerchief, he said impatiently, if you don't understand anything, you can ask it in private. Wei Hong, follow me. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Wei Hong was also a little confused. Why was he looking for him? With great doubts, the two walked into the backyard one after the other. Zhu Sihei put on a short coat, picked up the purple clay pot on the stone table and drank a few sips of tea, then waved his hand and said, sit down. Uncle Sihei, do you have something to ask me? Wei Hong was not restrained and sat down casually. You kid. Zhu Sihei laughed dumbly, and his expression became more friendly, as if he was facing his own nephew. He is diligent and knows how to do things. Old Wei has raised a good grandson. Wei Hong smiled helplessly and waited quietly for his next words. Zhu Sihei did not waste time and went straight to the point. I heard that you are very talented. In just over 2 months, the strength of one arm has exceeded 120 kilograms. Just lucky. Wei Hong pretended to be embarrassed and perfunctory. His deliberately revealed martial arts talent eventually attracted Zhu Sihei's attention. However, it was still unknown whether this kind of attention was good or bad, and he could only pretend to be stupid to deal with it. For talented people, Zhu has never been stingy in cultivating them. Zhu Sihei sat with his horse and sword, and asked with a meaningful smile, I just don't know if my nephew is willing to accept this favor. How does Uncle Sihei want to cultivate his nephew? Wei Hong looked unsurprised and raised his eyes to ask back. Zhu Sihei put down the purple clay teapot and said seriously, it's a waste for you to be a butcher with your talent. I can send you to the Tiger Hut gang and let you become a disciple of the leader of the Loyalty Hall. I will let you receive the best training and learn the best skills. Are you willing? After saying this, Zhu Sihei looked indifferent. Obviously, he felt that the conditions he offered were enough to impress anyone, and he was waiting for Wei Hong to be grateful and accept his favor. However, Wei Hong was silent for a few breaths, but shook his head firmly and refused. Uncle Sihei, I am the only grandson of my ancestor. Zhu Sihei was stunned when he heard this, and he was speechless. He exhaled a breath of exhaust air and frustration, and advised unwillingly, don't you want to stand out? Don't you want your grandfather to live a good life? I do, But you have to spend the money you make. Wei Hong spread his hands and said confidently, everyone knows what it's like to be in a gang. You may die on the street in broad daylight today. I can feed my grandfather by killing pigs. Why take the risk? You stinky boy. Zhu Sihei slammed the table in anger. You don't cherish such a good martial arts talent. You are afraid of death. How can you have the courage of a young man to fight and kill? Letting you worship under the master of his Hongai Hall is a good thing that many people can't even ask for. As long as you nod and agree, I promise that you can easily learn superior skills in the future, have secret medicine every month, and even marry my daughter and enjoy the help of my Zhu family. Wei Hong was unmoved and calm. No matter what Zhu Sihei said, he just smiled perfunctorily and would never agree. I only need to stay alive and kill pigs to become stronger. Why bother to fight with others? To put it nicely, it is a promising future. To put it bluntly, it is cannon fodder for the game of power and wealth. How many young people from the lower class step into gangs with great dreams? They want to fight for a bright future with their own hands. But in the end, they either lose their hands and feet and become disabled for life, or their bodies are exposed on the streets and in the wilderness. Almost 1 in 100 can make a name for themselves, and those who can have a good end are even rarer. If there is no golden finger, Wei Hong will have to take this dead end if he wants to stand out. But now, he doesn't want to go at all. Uncle Sihei, I just want to kill pigs. Wei Hong's firm words finally ended this meaningless persuasion. Zhu Sihei opened his mouth, but the words he had prepared early were useless. He was so depressed that he felt uncomfortable and drank a few sips of tea before he calmed down. Everyone has his own ambitions. Killing pigs is also good. You go down and do your work. Zhu Sihei waved his hand helplessly. The brief conversation between the two ended here. After Wei Hong said goodbye and left, the curtain of the backyard door was lifted, and 2 women, one big and one small, walked out. One was a middle-aged woman in her early 30s, wearing a gold hairpin, a green jacket and skirt, and a fierce face. The other was a girl with a plain look, arrogant eyes, and dressed in a red shirt. The 2 of them were Zhu Sihei's wife Qi Fengniang and Zhu Furen. The 2 of them had obviously been listening in the inner room for a long time, and now they came out with angry faces. Dad, is this the rich son-in-law you mentioned? Zhu Furen asked sharply. You Zhu, what do you think of our Furen? Qi Fengniang even put her hands on her hips and scolded. You are planning to let a stinky butcher's apprentice become my brother's disciple, and you are planning to marry Furen to him? Don't you think he is worthy of her? Why not? Zhu Sihei muttered with a guilty conscience. What do you women know? This kid is definitely not an ordinary person. He has an amazing talent in martial arts. Sooner or later, he will have great fortune. Do you understand what I mean by betting? What a bet. Qi Fengniang twisted her ears impatiently. I warn you not to have any crooked thoughts. Our Furen is not worthy of just any cat or dog. Only that kid knows what's good for him. Otherwise, he... Madam, calm down, madam, calm down. Zhu Sihei begged for mercy in a low voice. His wife's elder brother is the leader of this Hongai Hall of the Tiger Hut gang, which has made him develop a strong and domineering character. He is like a tigress at home, so he dared not resist. Furen, please speak up for daddy. Zhu Sihei said aggrievedly, I just wanted to help him rise to the top and take care of you for the rest of your life after knowing him well. But who would have thought that he was such a loser? Let's not talk about this matter. Humph. Zhu Furen's expression eased a little. Qi Fengniang continued to curse with disgust. I have been unlucky for 8 lifetimes to marry a butcher like you. You actually want our Furen to repeat the same mistake? You are dirty and smelly when you are with pigs and sheep every day. How can you be worthy of our daughter? With Furen's figure and temperament, she should be matched with a son of an official, right? Mom, I don't want to marry a son of an official. Zhu Furen was shy. I like scholars. Okay. Qi Fengniang touched her head lovingly and said with a smile, when the imperial examination results are announced next year, let your father go to the imperial list and grab a champion for you as your husband. That's better. Zhu Furen hummed with satisfaction. Zhu Sihei opened his mouth but didn't say anything for a long time. They are so bold, they are even picking a son-in-law from the list? Are you worthy? Is the Zhu family worthy? Alice. Zhu Sihei sighed silently. He always felt that missing out on Wei Hong, a good son-in-law, was as painful as losing a golden nugget. Please vote and read on. Chapter 20, When the enemy comes, we will fight him. When the water comes, we will block it with earth. What bad luck. I've been disliked again for no reason. The boss is looking for trouble for me. Wei Hong frowned and returned to the martial arts training ground. When he looked up, he saw Li Daniu, Zhao Zhiqing and others looking at him with complicated expressions. Obviously, everyone had heard the quarrel between Zhu Sihei and his family of three clearly. People who practice martial arts are naturally sharp-eyed and sharp-eared. Qi Fengniang and Zhu Furan have loud voices. It's hard for everyone not to hear it, so they naturally know what happened just now. Haha. Wang Dazi said sarcastically, is our boss looking for a son-in-law? It's really a cause for celebration. Someone is going to be lucky. Who said it wasn't? It's a pity that the eldest lady doesn't like it. Oh my, do you really think that anyone can fly up to the tree and become a phoenix? Dream on. If it were me, I would quickly urinate and look in the mirror, so as not to annoy people for no reason. Everyone said something, and all kinds of sarcasm stabbed like knives. A pair of eyes were filled with teasing, displeasure, jealousy, and even strong hostility. Wei Hong was not surprised at all. In the past, he might have been able to rely on his extraordinary talent to make the knifemen look up to him. Although they were not on equal footing, no one would deliberately target him. But Zhu Sihei's actions just now deeply stimulated everyone. As the saying goes, it is not the lack of wealth that is worrying, but the inequality. Why can he be appreciated? Why is a little apprentice about to step on their heads? The most enviable thing in the world is that the people around you become stronger than you. Unless you are a saint, who can bear not to feel jealous? Haha. Wei Hong shook his head and said nothing more. He disdained to argue with others, nor did he disdain to please the weak. The attitude of others is not something you can control. Whether they like it or hate it, you have to live your life as you should, just be careful not to be cheated by others. Brother Hong, you. Li Daniu came closer with a complicated expression. He opened his mouth to say something, but in the end he couldn't say it. Brother Daniu, if you are worried about being implicated by me, we can have less contact in normal times. Wei Hong raised his eyes to comfort him. I can understand. No, no. Li Daniu's face turned red, and finally he scratched his head and changed the subject. I just want to ask you, if you have time to help me train my body. Of course. Wei Hong smiled. He naturally saw that Li Daniu was getting close to him under pressure. He had to appreciate this kindness, so he picked up a wooden stick as thick as his arm. There are many ways for warriors in the skin refining realm to train their bodies. They can use crushed stones and iron sand to grind their skin, or they can use wooden sticks to beat their whole body, but this method requires someone to assist. Come on. Li Daniu took a deep breath. He clenched his fists, and his muscles swelled up suddenly. Bang, bang, bang. Wei Hong swung the stick skillfully, hitting Li Daniu fiercely, and making various collision and muffled sounds. Ha! Ha! Li Daniu kept adjusting his breathing, and gradually entered a good state. Wei Hong ignored the hostile eyes of the people around him and concentrated on helping him to exercise his body. After being beaten with the stick again and again, Li Daniu's skin became red and bruised, but when he breathed, the blood flowed under the skin, quickly dispersing these bruises. In this way, the membrane will naturally become stronger. It feels good. Li Daniu couldn't help but sigh. Brother Hong, you use this strength cleverly, not too light or too heavy, just right, 100 times stronger than hitting the tree myself. Do you usually rely on hitting trees to refine your skin? Wei Hong was surprised. Of course. Li Daniu sighed with a wry smile. My monthly salary can only afford 3 bottles of secret medicine at most. They have to be used when grinding the skin with iron sand, and they can't last for less than half a month. I can only practice by hitting trees and walls. That's a good idea. Wei Hong nodded in understanding, hammering his hands non-stop. He patiently and carefully beat his whole body over and over again. What's good? I'm just helpless. Li Daniu couldn't help but complain. It's very difficult to make the membrane stronger by hitting alone. First, it's not easy to control the strength. Second, many places can't be hit. Finally, it's easy to be distracted. It's better to have someone to help practice. Now all major martial arts halls hire a group of people all year round to help their martial arts apprentices beat and forge their bodies. You have such a clever grasp of strength. You can make a lot of money by working part-time in a martial arts hall. There must be many people vying to hire you. Oh. Wei Hong immediately became interested when he heard it. You can make money by beating people's bodies? Don't you know? Li Daniu explained casually, most of those who can join a martial arts school are from wealthy families. These people are well off and naturally will not treat themselves badly. They take nourishing medicinal baths every day, and it is common for them to hire people to beat them. Some even hire people to practice fighting. Wei Hong silently memorized this information. He thought that if he was short of money in the future, he could try to find a martial arts school. He was not interested in helping others to beat their bodies, but he was still very tempted if he practiced fighting with others. He could exercise himself and make money, so why not do it? At this time, Li Daniu glanced around and saw that no one was paying much attention to this place. He whispered a reminder, "Pay attention to Wang Dazi and Zhao Jichen, be careful of them doing something dirty." "I will, don't worry." Wei Hong naturally knew what he meant. He saw the hostile eyes of everyone just now clearly. Although they would not make things difficult for me openly, they would be afraid of them secretly. Even the most talented people would become useless if their hands and feet were broken. Wang Dazi is a proud and arrogant guy, and he is also very domineering. He hates others stealing his limelight. Li Daniu continued to whisper, "He has always been the #1 thug of the second in command. Now that you are close to the first in command, there is no guarantee that he will not strangle you in the cradle. As for Zhao Jichen, you must not trust him. Although this guy is also on the side of the first in command, he has always been concerned about the eldest lady. After what happened today, he must hate you to death. In short, people who have offended them in the past have a very miserable end. It is common for them to have their hands and feet broken and thrown into the stinking ditch. In their eyes, killing people is no different from killing pigs." As he spoke, Li Daniu's eyes were filled with fear. Obviously, his many years of apprenticeship made him very afraid of these people. Even though he is now a knifeman, he is always inferior to them in his heart. "What are you afraid of? If an enemy comes, we will stop him. If a flood comes, we will block it with earth." Wei Hong raised his eyebrows, his eyes showed a rare coldness, and he sneered, "I have offended more than just them over the years. It's not certain who will live and who will die." Li Daniu secretly took a breath of cold air. He suddenly remembered that Wei Hong was born in the slums. How could someone who grew up in such a place be bullied casually? Chapter 21 Testing the Choice, feeling proud and satisfied. "Boy, let's chat." Before closing in the afternoon, Wang Dazi and Zhao Jichen came over together. Just like when they first came to Li Daniu, the two of them stared at Wei Hong with obvious threats in their eyes. What to chat about? Wei Hong raised his eyes, neither servile nor arrogant, without a trace of panic on his face. "Haha, you are so brave. No wonder the big boss wants to cultivate you so much." Wang Dazi stroked his chin and smiled. "Wang has booked a table at Xiangxian Lao tonight. I wonder if Brother Wei can come and taste it? You and I can have a drink together." Looking at his pretentious demeanor, Wei Hong couldn't help but frown subconsciously. Zhao Jichen on the side said nothing, but just stared at him with an unhappy face. It seemed that he was disdainful to say anything more and just came to see the excitement. The banquet Wang Dazi mentioned was obviously not as simple as a meal. This was a test, but also a choice. If Wei Hong agreed to the banquet, it means that he agreed to join the second-tier leader's lineage. If he did not agree, it means that he chose the first-tier leader's lineage. This is the choice that every apprentice will face after officially becoming a knifeman. But Wei Hong's talent is so high that the other party could not help but come to his door now. "I'm sorry." Wei Hong made a choice without hesitation. "I have to go home early later. I'm afraid I won't be blessed to drink this wine." "Oh." Wang Dazi's face suddenly became gloomy. He narrowed his eyes like a venomous snake and said with a smile, "Brother Wei, don't you think about it again. No need to consider it." Wei Hong refused mercilessly. "I have the opportunity to sweep here because of the kindness of the first-tier leader. I don't want to be involved with anyone." Okay. Wang Dazi didn't say anything nonsense, turned around and left. He didn't even give Wei Hong a glance, as if he was already a dead man. Zhao Jichen's expression softened a bit. He was silent for a long time and finally said, "The eldest lady is not someone you can dream of." "Brother Zhao, you are joking." Wei Hong sighed helplessly. "Even if the big boss wants to match them up, he can't be the master's wife, and haven't you heard how much he dislikes us butchers?" Zhao Jichen was speechless. The hostility in his eyes gradually disappeared, and finally turned into loneliness. Since Wei Hong firmly chose to stand on the side of the big boss and had no chance with Zhu Furen, he naturally had no interest in being hostile. Be careful of Wang Dazi, this bastard may find someone to deal with you. Zhao Zicheng sighed and patted his shoulder, leaving a word and turned away. Haha. Wei Hong raised his eyebrows and didn't say much. He just quietly packed up his things and went home. Evening in Lafeng East Street, in the private room on the third floor of Shiangxin Building. Wang Dazi and two other men were toasting with several strong men. Both of them were enjoying themselves and were soon calling each other brothers. If Wei Hong were here, he would definitely recognize the identities of these people. They were the hooligans of the Tiger Head gang who usually collected fees in the slums. The leader was tall and had a scar on his face, so he was nicknamed Dao Yi. Uncle Dao, come on, keep drinking. Wang Dazi complimented with a smile on his face. We are always busy looking for you for a drink on weekdays, so today we have to drink enough. Why call me master? Call me brother. Scarface burped and joked, Brother Wang, you are a busy man. You eat delicious food and drink spicy drinks in the butcher shop every day. Naturally, you don't have time to deal with people like us. No. Wang Dazi apologized with a smile. We are the stinky butchers, tired and hard-working, but after all, we are not as majestic as you, Master Dao. That's right. Everyone in this world knows how majestic our Master Dao is. Haha, Master Dao is a well-known figure on Anlafang Street. We really admire him. Come on, keep drinking. We toast you a glass. The others also flattered him. Scarface suddenly became proud, and he waved his hands complacently and said, Don't be polite, brothers. After drinking, we are family. If you have any problems outside, just report your name, Brother Dao, and it will definitely help. Thank you, Brother Dao, come on, have another drink. Wang Dazi poured a lot of wine, and took advantage of Scarface's half-drunk and half-awake time to sigh in embarrassment. Why are you sighing, Brother Wang? Scarface asked in surprise with his eyes wide open. Nothing. Wang Dazi said quickly, it's just that there's a troublemaker who's been bothering me recently, but it's not convenient for me to deal with him personally. It's really frustrating. Oh. Scarface sneered with a ferocious look in his eyes, is there anyone else who dares to make things difficult for you, Brother Wang? Tell me, do you want me to deal with him? That would be great. Wang Dazi said, you may know this guy. He's a kid who grew up in the slums. He doesn't have any background. He's so arrogant after practicing standing meditation for 2 months. It would be great if we could break his hands and feet and teach him a lesson. A kid from the slums. Scarface sobered up a little. He squinted his eyes and asked with a fake smile, who are you referring to, Brother Wang? Old Wei's grandson, Wei Hong. Him. Scarface's expression changed, and the other hooligans also looked strange. The atmosphere at the table suddenly became a little dull. What? Wang Dazi's heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but frown. Master Dao doesn't dare to provoke this kid. Bullshit. Scarface retorted angrily, it's just an old widower and a boy, why shouldn't I provoke them? But what? Wang Dazi was still puzzled. Could it be that these hooligans still care about the relationship between neighbors? Impossible, they usually don't recognize any relatives when they collect protection fees. Ouch! Wang Dazi seemed to have thought of something. He slapped his forehead and stuffed a few ingots of silver, saying with a smile, I was ignorant just now. A little tea money is not a respect. I hope Dao can help me. This is not a matter of money. Scarface reluctantly moved his eyes away from the silver, and advised with a wry smile, Brother Wang, you'd better not touch him. A person who can grow up in the slums has a black heart. Don't look at him as being good-natured and bullied by anyone, but... Scarface hesitated to speak. Several gangsters seemed to have remembered something, and all of them trembled. In short, Scarface said seriously, you'd better not provoke him. There are all kinds of people in the slums. Those who grew up among the desperate are also desperate. Even if we go in to collect protection fees under the skin of the Tiger Head gang, we dare not do too much? It's really not worth it for you to provoke him. Haha. Wang Dazi's face suddenly turned cold. He did not give up his plan because of these words of consolation. He just cursed these idiots in his heart that it was really hard for them to achieve anything great, and that he had wasted such a banquet. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. When one prospers, all prosper. When one suffers, all suffer. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 kinds of dishes, Scarface and his group ate and drank their fill and patted their butts and left, without any intention of showing mercy to others and asking for help. Wang Dazi was so angry that he slammed the table and roared, "Fuck, useless, he can't even do such a small thing, these rubbish." "Brother Wang, calm down, how can these street thugs have any loyalty? They are all money-grubbing bastards. If he doesn't do it, we can just find someone else. Yet, at worst, we can find someone else, there will always be someone willing to do it. If we weren't afraid of the big boss, it wouldn't be difficult for us to kill Wei ourselves." "That's right, killing him is like killing an ant." The 2 knifemen on the side whispered to comfort him. "Damn, keep drinking." Wang Dazi impatiently took a few more sips of wine, and then cursed, "This matter can never be let go. Wei can reach 120 kilograms of arm strength after 2 months of martial arts training. If he continues to develop, he will trample us under his feet sooner or later. And the fight between the second in command and the first in command is getting more and more intense. We will rise and fall with him. If we don't plan early, we will definitely suffer a big loss." The more Wang Dazi thought about it, the worse it felt. How could he care about Scarface's warning? His eyes were already full of murderous intent. However, he couldn't help drinking a few more glasses because he was upset. While discussing who to find to attack Wei Hong, the few people continued to clink glasses and the banquet ended only at midnight. Under the night, the 3 staggered out of the restaurant. Wang Dazi waved goodbye to the 2 at a fork in the road and turned to walk home. As the most experienced butcher in the butcher shop, he earns a lot of money every month. He married a local wife a few years ago and now lives in Tongluo Alley on West Street. He lives a very comfortable life. Knock, knock, knock. Wang Dazi stood in front of the 5th courtyard at the entrance of the alley. After knocking on the copper ring on the door, a woman in her 20s in a thorny cloth skirt opened the door. "Boss, why do you drink so much wine again?" Luo Sanyang asked with a frown. "What nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and get me a basin of water to wash my face." Wang Dazi pushed her away and entered the yard in a bad mood. Luo Sanyang didn't dare to say anything more. She could only close the door while muttering, "Be quiet, don't wake up Mother and Daya and Zaya Abeo." They just went to bed. After that, she fetched a basin of warm water. Wang Dazi washed his face tiredly and prepared to rest. However, Luo Sanyang hesitated to say, "Boss, there's something I don't know if I should say." Wang Dazi said unhappily, "Just say it. It seems that our family has been targeted by the bandit gang." Luo Sanyang said quickly, "When I went home in the evening, I always felt that there were eyes staring at me. It was creepy. Impossible." Wang Dazi sobered up a little, and he subconsciously retorted, "I am familiar with the 2 bandit gangs in our market. They can't target our family. Can the flood also flush the Dragon King Temple? Who said it's impossible?" Luo Sanyang pouted and said, "When you entered the door just now, didn't you see someone following you?" "Huh?" Wang Dazi glared. His face was full of ferocity, and he turned around and opened the door and walked out. Looking out along the alley, he really saw a figure staring at this place silently. The other party was not panicked at all when he saw him come out, and even smiled. The 2 looked at each other across the night sky. When Wang Dazi saw who the other person was, he immediately took a breath of cold air. Wei Hong. He thought he was hallucinating. He rubbed his eyes subconsciously, and when he looked again, the figure at the alley had disappeared. Wang Dazi didn't know why he was frightened and broke out in a cold sweat. He inexplicably thought of what Dao Yi and the others had said. Damn, this kid is really evil. Wang Dazi opened his mouth, his face full of disbelief. I haven't done anything yet, but he came to spy first? How dare he? Boss, what happened? Luo Sanyang asked cautiously. It's okay, don't ask around. Wang Dazi closed the door in a bad mood, thought about it, and couldn't help but admonishing, be careful in the future, don't let strangers into the house, and call people if there is something. Remember. Luo Sanyang nodded with a worried face. She opened her mouth several times to ask her man if he had offended someone. But when she thought of Wang Dazi's temper, she could only sigh and stop talking. Horizontal ellipsis. The next day, Wang Dazi was hungover and tired, so he did not go to work at the butcher shop. After Luo Sanyang served the whole family to wash and eat breakfast, She walked out of the yard with a basket of vegetables, and habitually greeted the neighbors who got up early. "Good morning, Uncle Lou." "Sanyang, are you going out?" "Hey, I'm going out to buy vegetables." Aunt Leah got up so early. "It's not early. I have to go to the embroidery room to work later." While the neighbors were chatting, Luo Sanyang walked out of the alley. She was going to the market to buy vegetables along the busy street. But she stopped in her tracks after just a few steps. Because there was a young man in plain clothes at the entrance of the alley, looking at her with a smile. He sat quietly at the breakfast stall on the corner of the street, drinking the steaming offal soup slowly. His eyes stared at Luo Sanyang without any hesitation, making her hands and feet weak and her scalp numb. She couldn't help but walk quickly towards the market. A moment later, Luo Sanyang arrived at the market as if she was escaping. But she didn't feel safe standing on the noisy street. Because she glanced around and saw the young man who had been following her. He was following her slowly, keeping a distance of about 20 feet, with a smile in his eyes, as if he was staring at his prey. Hiss. Luo Sanyang was frightened and her face turned pale. Even in a busy market, she felt more terrified than seeing a ghost. She didn't care about buying vegetables or cooking, and turned around and fled to her own alley. Seeing her hurried look, others were full of doubts. "Sanyang, what are you doing? Aren't you going to buy vegetables? Why are you running so fast? Is there a ghost chasing you?" Faced with other people's ridicule and inquiries, Luo Sanyang rarely lost her composure and didn't answer, but hurried back home, closed the door and then slid to the ground. "What are you doing?" Wang Dazi, who was sleepy, just walked out of the room and saw her embarrassed scene. He couldn't help but scolded, "Why don't you go to buy vegetables so early in the morning? What's wrong with you?" Someone. Luo Sanyang panted and told what happened just now. Wang Dazi suddenly lost all sleepiness and looked very angry. "Damn it, come again." He smashed a bowl and chopsticks in his hands angrily, gritted his teeth and rushed out of the door. Sure enough, he saw Wei Hong again at the entrance of the alley. He was half crouching in front of a little boy. He had a warm smile on his face and even raised his hand to touch the child's head. Wang Dazi, who was furious, saw this scene and was stunned in place as if a basin of cold water was poured on his head. His body couldn't help but tremble slightly. "Brother Wang, good morning. Is this your son Xiaobao? He looks so cute." Wei Hong raised his eyes and raised his eyebrows, and a creepy smile came out of his mouth. Chapter 23. It is better to bully an old man than to bully a young man who is poor. "Mr. Wei, what do you want to do?" "Nothing, just a visit." At the entrance of the alley, the two men faced each other silently. Wang Dazi's face was livid, and his fists were creaking. It was obvious that he was trying hard to restrain the rage and murderous intent that surged in his heart. Wei Hong smiled gently, as if he was visiting relatives and friends. He even squatted in front of the chubby little boy again and asked with a smile, "Xiaobao, are the candied haws delicious?" "Yes, delicious." The little boy answered incoherently with a string of candied haws in his hand. Wang Dazi's face darkened when he saw this scene, and he couldn't help but grit his teeth and said, "What do you want to do?" "I'm just passing by." "Brother Wang won't be unwelcome, right?" Wei Hong said with a smile, "I have heard that you have a son and a daughter and a harmonious family. It's really enviable to see you today. Oh, by the way, why hasn't my sister-in-law gone to work at Hong Sifang yet? It's getting late, right? If you are late, they will deduct your wages." "You." Wang Dazi's forehead was throbbing with veins. Even a fool could tell what this meant. The other party was threatening him. Wei Hong had already known his family's situation clearly. He not only knew how many people there were in the family, but also knew where his wife Luo Sanyang worked. He even knew his son Xiaobao. This kid is really crazy. How dare he? Wang Dazi has lived for 20 to 30 years and has never seen such an arrogant teenager. Doesn't Wei Hong know that he can kill him with a flick of his hand? "Boy, do you think you can scare me?" Wang Dazi sneered with gritted teeth. "A green hand who has just practiced martial arts for 2 months wants to act big in front of me. Who do you think you are? Do you believe that I can kill you with one palm?" "Yes, of course I don't believe it." Wei Hong sneered calmly, "But do you know who has the most people in the slums?" Wang Dazi was silent for a few breaths, obviously not understanding what he meant. "The slums have the most desperados and kidnappers." Wei Hong explained with a smile, "In the 3 slums of Anlafang, Angsifang, and Dongpingfang alone, There are 12 large and small kidnapping gangs all year round, with as few as 3 or 5 people and as many as dozens of people. They like boys like Zaya Abayo the most. Once they set their sights on a target and are ready to take action, they can quietly take the person out of the city in a cup of tea and sell him to other prefectures within 3 days. Tisk 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 tisk. Wang Dazi was furious again. He was panting heavily, like an angry lion. Don't be impatient. Wei Hong raised his hand to signal him to keep quiet, and continued with a fake smile. Think about your sick old mother. She can't leave someone to take care of her. You killed someone in the street, but you have to pay with your life. I won't kill you, I'll just cripple you. Wang Dazi said with a grim smile. It's just a fight. Find some connections and spend some money. I can get out of the Yamen prison in less than half a month, and I guarantee that you will be paralyzed for life and regret daring to provoke you. Oh? Really? Wei Hong pretended to be surprised. Do you think the big boss will miss the opportunity to strike the second boss's confidant? If you go to prison, will he let you out alive? Wang Dazi opened his mouth to refute. But in the end he didn't say a word. Hey. Wei Hong continued to sneer. In your eyes, I'm just a little boy, and my grandfather is just a night watchman. It's as easy as stepping on an ant to step on us, right? But you don't know that I grew up in this slum. I know every brick and every person in Angsifang and even the surrounding markets. I also know every dirty thing in every household. My grandfather lived in poverty all his life. He lived for decades and didn't save anything. But you don't know how much favors he has accumulated by doing good deeds. As he spoke, Wei Hong's eyes suddenly became fierce. He sneered ferociously like a fighting beast. Now you can kill me with one palm, and you can even kill my grandfather in the end. You just need to do it covertly and no one can trace it back to you. But you'd better keep your whole family tied to your belt for the rest of your life, otherwise your precious son will be kidnapped if you are not careful. If you're lucky, you may be sold to someone else as a son. If you're unlucky, you will have to cut off your hands and feet and dig out your eyes, and from then on you will have to follow the beggars to beg for food all over the country. The more Wang Dazi listened, the more frightened he became. Wei Hong stared at him intently and said jokingly, "Oh, and your daughter Dia, she is very pretty. I think the kidnappers will like her. After training her for a few years and selling her to the brothel, the business will be prosperous. Although your wife is a little old, many old bachelors in the mountains like this kind of woman who can give birth and raise children, and the price should not be low. It's a pity for your mother. I wonder if she will be angry to death because of the loss of her grandson. In your eyes, I'm just an ant." Wei Hong raised his hand and poked his heart, threatening word by word, "But in my eyes, aren't you also a slightly larger ant? I may not be able to deal with the rich and powerful, but isn't it easy to deal with you?" Ah! Every time Wei Hong said a word, Wang Dazi's heart trembled. Until the end, his angry and iron-blue face actually had a hint of grayness. He inexplicably had a little more enlightenment in his heart. No wonder the old saying is better to bully an old man than a poor young man. If this kind of young man is really pushed to the limit, he will dare to fight to the death. Brother Wei, we don't have to go this far. Wang Dazi took a deep breath and forced a smile on his face. In fact, you and I don't have any deep hatred. It's just an internal fight between the top and the second in command. The boss hasn't spoken yet. Isn't it ridiculous that we, the vanguards, have fought to the point of destroying our families? What do you mean, Brother Wang? Wei Hong put away the anger on his face and pretended to be ignorant and sarcastic. Don't you want to find someone to touch me? No, 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 misunderstanding, absolutely a misunderstanding. Wang Dazi smiled awkwardly. No, you and I are brothers. If anyone dares to touch you, I will be the first to disagree. Okay. Wei Hong stopped when he saw that it was going well. Since Brother Wang is sensible, I can't be unsensible either. I hope that we can keep out of each other's way in the future. Today's matter is just a misunderstanding. Sure, sure. Wang Dazi promised hurriedly. Wei Hong took 2 steps back and turned to leave. It was not until his figure disappeared at the corner of the street that Wang Dazi breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly hugged his son tightly and refused to let go. Everyone has weaknesses. Wei Hong has found his weakness this time. Although the two have different fighting strengths, who can blame him for being crazy? This guy is not easy to mess with. No wonder Dao Yi and the others are like seeing a ghost. They must have suffered losses before. Wang Dazi wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and made up his mind not to mess with this madman again. although he was not sure whether what the other party said was true or false. But even if there was a 10% or 20% chance, Wang Dazi did not dare to gamble. Wei Hong was right. In fact, he was just a bigger ant. He could not send people to protect his family around the clock like the rich and powerful. If you don't want to suffer a loss, it's better to put away some of your little tricks. Please vote and support. Chapter 24 5 Beast Fist. Times are hard. Winter Chengdu had several heavy snowfalls in succession, and the weather was getting increasingly cold and biting. Xuzhou, Tongshao, Kangshao and other places suffered from snowstorms one after another, which not only froze and starved a large number of livestock and people to death, but also caused a surge in grain and charcoal prices in various places, so that Chengdu was also greatly affected. The streets and alleys were full of starving people and refugees. The slums, which were already a mixed crowd, were even more shivering with cold. They either brought their families to beg, or huddled in the corners to keep warm, or looked at passers-by with fierce eyes, and everyone's eyes were filled with a desire to live. It's a sign of troubled times. Wei Hong sighed, blaming the difficult world. He had just finished work, carrying 2 bags of braised pork heads, and walked steadily, standing out among the refugees and hurried passers-by. Some people coveted the pork heads wrapped in lotus leaves in his hands and kept swallowing their saliva. But seeing his tall and strong body, no one dared to act rashly. Wei Hong had been practicing martial arts for more than 3.5 months since he entered Huji butcher shop. He had also transformed from a skinny boy who was less than 6 feet tall to a muscular man who was 8 feet tall. According to the size of Blue Star, he was now at least 1.8 meters tall. At the same time, his muscles were bulging all over his body. Not only were his abdominal muscles as strong as copper and iron, but even his arms and thighs were so thick that they could burst a cloth coat. Even in the cold winter, he was wearing a short coat with a linen coat on the outside, which was enough to keep out the cold. As he walked, his blood and ki exuded rolling heat, easily forcing back the severe cold wind and frost. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and he easily frightened all kinds of villains like a beast. Dong, dong, dong. Wei Hong stepped on the snow and turned left and right in the slums. Finally, he stopped in front of a shabby small courtyard and raised his hand to knock on the door. "Come in, why be so pretentious?" A slightly dissatisfied and rough male voice came from inside the door. Wei Hong grinned and pushed the door open. He saw a ragged, lame middle-aged man sweeping the snow in the shabby, leaky yard. "Uncle Lu, are you busy?" Wei Hong greeted him familiarly, put the things in his hand into the house, and snatched his broom to start working. "You kid." Lu Shan laughed dumbly. "Don't be busy, go practice first, you have to go home and cook later." "Okay." Wei Hong swept the snow in a few strokes. After taking a deep breath, he began to practice boxing. "Who? He?" Wei Hong roared in a deep voice, alternating between fists and feet. From time to time, he turned and moved, punching and sweeping his legs. The movements were even more swift and fierce. With every move, the muscles of his body were constantly stimulated. Waves of heat hit him, and he immediately sweated all over his body, like a furnace, and his blood was boiling, and the snow around him was evaporated and melted a lot. A punch was thrown, and the air exploded. A foot stepped down, and the ground sank. Ha ha ha. Cool. Wei Han's face was full of enjoyment and intoxication. Now all the pores in his body were sweating, all kinds of impurities were discharged, and the muscles of his whole body were powerfully tempered. This feeling of continuous strength is enough to make people feel happy from the bottom of their hearts, and it is even more fascinating than the affairs of men and women. Since the last incident with Wang Dazi, he asked Uncle Lu to teach him some boxing and kicking skills. After all, he couldn't practice skin openly, so it was always good to learn some basic boxing and kicking first. Moreover, he was not happy to deal with Wang Dazi. It was a shame for Wei Hong to rely on despicable threats to deal with and force the opponent to retreat, because it meant that he had no other trump cards except his rotten life. This was also the most ridiculous and helpless life-threatening act of the week. Today he can threaten others with despicable means. Tomorrow others can also threaten him with this means. If he wanted to completely make these bastards afraid to provoke him, he had to become stronger, so he would always come here to practice boxing for an hour every evening before going home, and he would practice like crazy every time. Not bad, not bad. Lu Shan sat aside, drinking turbid rice wine and eating pig head meat, and sighed, "You kid is really a genius." Although this 5-beast fist is a basic boxing method, It combines fists, feet, palms, steps, and elbow strikes. There are very few people who can imitate the essence of the 5 animals: bears, tigers, cranes, leopards, and apes. You have only practiced for less than 2 months and you have already become so proficient. If you were born in a wealthy family, you would definitely be a powerful character worthy of the whole family's efforts to cultivate. Haha. Wei Hong smiled helplessly and continued to practice hard. Others who don't know the truth only think that he is a peerless genius. But only he knows that all this is just relying on the power of the system. After killing pigs and sheep for several months, Wei Hong accumulated more than 4,000 vitality. He naturally added all of it to his health without hesitation, but after reaching 50 points, he could no longer increase his health. His whole body was surging with blood and qi, and if he added more, he would explode and die. At this time, Wei Hong remembered how important it was to refine his skin and restrain his blood and qi. It was obvious that his blood and qi were too strong, and his skin membrane could no longer bear it. Unless he started to refine his skin, it would be impossible for his health to continue to increase. Therefore, Wei Hong thought about it and added the remaining more than 1,000 points of proficiency to Tiger Walk 13 Styles and 5 Beast Fist, which directly made them reach the state of great success, which was comparable to 10 years of hard training for others. Lu Shan would naturally think that he was a martial arts genius. Now, my single arm strength has exceeded 500 kilograms. With the unique force-generating technique of the 5 Beast Fist, I'm afraid even Wang Dazhe would dare to touch it, right? Wei Hong slowly finished his work, and the surging blood and qi had already seeped out of his pores. He frowned and subconsciously glanced at his attribute board. Host, Wei Hong, age 16/42, life points 142, health points 50, realm none, skills 13 steps of the Tiger Great Mastery 531/800, martial arts 5 Beast Fist Great Mastery 374/800, magical powers none, skills cooking Great Mastery 127/800, fishing mastery 45 out of 300, slaughtering minor mastery 109/500, tips 100 points of vitality can increase lifespan by 1 year, 100 points of vitality can increase health points by 1 point, and 1 point of vitality can increase skill proficiency by 1 point. After practicing martial arts for several months, my physical fitness has already increased by more than 100 times. Logically, my lifespan should have increased slightly. But now my lifespan has dropped from 47 to 42. Obviously, my body is not strong enough to withstand the surging blood and qi, which has caused serious damage to my internal organs. If I don't refine my skin, I'm afraid I'll be burst by my blood. Wei Hong sighed imperceptibly. Now he doesn't even dare to go all out when practicing boxing, for fear that his skin membrane will be burst. It has to be said that too much blood is also a kind of happy trouble. You should have reached 200 kilograms of arm strength a long time ago, right? Lu Shan obviously saw the problem. He frowned. When are you going to start refining your skin? Tomorrow. Wei Hong answered decisively. His eyes seemed to contain thousands of stars. Please read and vote. Chapter 25, Tiger Hut Gang, 100 Forging Golden Body Technique. After a few months of silence, Wei Hong finally made up his mind to start refining his skin. When he announced to the public that he had reached an arm strength of 200 kilograms, everyone in the butcher shop was envious and jealous, but not surprised at all. After all, his evilness was seen by everyone. Zhu Sihei was overjoyed and not only announced that he would be promoted to knifeman. At the same time, he generously gave him 5 taels of silver as a gift, which was also used to smooth the relationship with him. He also gave him a 3-day holiday, which was a huge effort to win him over. Early in the morning, Wei Hong carried a few taels of silver. He went straight to the Tiger Hut Gang headquarters in the wind and snow. This is a building located south of Anlafang, on the inner river. It occupies an area of half a street wide, as luxurious as a prince's mansion. There are 2 domineering stone lions at the door. 4 sturdy men stood with their arms folded. Those who came in and out were all fierce-looking. Passers-by thought this was a den of dragons and tigers, and dared not approach it casually. Stop, who are you? As Wei Hong approached, a big man with arms crossed shouted with a fierce look in his eyes. I am the butcher of his huge butcher shop on East Street. Wei Hong bowed and said, my arm strength has reached 200 kilograms, so I came here to register. Oh. The big man looked him up and down, but he didn't make it difficult. He waved his hand and said, "Go in, turn left and go to Zhonggai Hall. Don't wander around." "Thank you." Wei Hong agreed and walked in. The Tiger Head gang turned left after entering the door and was the branch hall of Zhonggai Hall. It seemed quite deserted inside, with only a middle-aged scholar copying books. After explaining his purpose, he registered Wei Hong directly. After a while, a copper token was handed over, with a majestic tiger head on it, and a name and number engraved on it. "From now on, you are a peripheral member of our Tiger Head gang, under the command of the Loyalty Hall. You don't need to report for duty at ordinary times, but if you are called up, you must obey orders at any time. Do you understand?" The middle-aged scholar said in a businesslike manner. "Understood." Wei Hong pretended to be happy and took the token. But he sneered in his heart. What a fool he was. The peripheral gang members were just cannon fodders and didn't get a penny of salary. You still want him to fight for his life? You think too much, right? Okay. The middle-aged scholar waved his hand and said, "Peripheral gang members can copy a skin refining method for free. You can go to the transmission hall. Just turn right and go straight." Wei Hong nodded and went straight to the transmission hall. After walking through a corridor, the front suddenly became a lot more lively. Many gang members came in and out of the transmission hall, and there were also 2s and 3s chatting at the door. He stopped and glanced, and then stepped into it directly with a flow of people. At a glance, it was a 3-story wooden attic. Each floor is 30 to 40 meters long and wide, and can accommodate hundreds of people to read books here. There are more than 20 bookshelves on the first floor, which are densely packed with books. Wei Hong saw that no one paid attention to him, so he simply checked them by himself. The Chronicle of the Great Zhou Dynasty, The Essence of Zhuanggong, Basic Boxing, The Beginning of Skin Refining. On each bookshelf, there are all kinds of miscellaneous books, practice notes, and basic Zhuanggong boxing. The books about skin refining only occupy the last bookshelf. As expected, most people gathered in front of this bookshelf. Faced with 100 or 200 skin refining secret books, how to choose is obviously also a trick. Moreover, these secret books are only half of the content. If you want to get the full content, you have to pay money to the transmission hall. Otherwise, they may throw you a shoddy handwritten copy. If you copy a few words wrong, you will be the only one who is unlucky. The Mixed Origin Gong, the Iron Clothes Jew, the Iron Crotch Gong, the Divine Leg Gong. Wei Hong roughly flipped through them and had a rough idea of these secret books. There are 4 levels of martial arts: Heaven, Earth, Black and Yellow. Among them, the yellow level is the worst and the most mediocre, often focusing on strengthening 1 or 2 parts of the body, such as arms, legs, crotch, and head. The black level martial arts pay attention to training the whole body. However, among more than 100 secret books, there are only 11 black level ones. And only 5 of these martial arts are complete. The rest are incomplete, and the consequences of practicing them are unpredictable. Sure enough, it's just as Li Daniu said. Most of the members of the Tiger Head gang will choose the 3 skin refining martial arts of Elephant Armor skill, Thick Earth skin refining skill, and Barbarian Bear Vajra skill. It's not that they don't want to choose others, but they have no choice. Think about this clearly. Wei Hong's range of choices has naturally narrowed down a lot. In the end, he can only choose 1 from the 5 complete black level martial arts. Just when he was worried about whether to follow the crowd and choose Elephant Armor skill, he actually found a complete skin refining martial arts of the middle grade of the black level. 100 Forging Golden Body skill. Wei Hong flipped through the secret book curiously, and his eyes gradually brightened. This method is not like other methods that imitate animals. Instead, it is based on iron forging. It emphasizes that the human body is iron, and through continuous forging, the human body is turned into fine steel. In theory, this method is no less than the Elephant Armor method. Even the intention, development, and prospects are far superior to other methods. But it has a fatal flaw: the skin refining method is too rough. Ordinary iron sands grinding and stick beating are terrifying enough, right? But it is not just that. To practice this method, you have to endure many extremely terrifying temperings such as burning flames, chopping with knives and axes, forging with heavy hammers, boiling in iron pots, etc., in order to finally reach the state of great success. Only those with strong willpower can practice it. Moreover, practicing this method is very easy to cause disability. So even if it is as high as the middle grade of Zhuan level, no one here cares about it. This method is obviously more suitable for me. Although it is extremely painful to practice, it has unlimited potential and a higher upper limit. And I can devour vitality to repair hidden injuries. I don't have to worry about getting disabled during the practice. I just need to endure the pain that ordinary people can't endure. Wei Hong hesitated for a moment, and finally chose it decisively. What is the pain? As long as he can become stronger, he can endure anything. Excuse me. Wei Hong walked to a counter and stood still. He said to a middle-aged one-armed man in a gray cotton robe, "I want a copy of 100 Forging Golden Body Skills." After that, he directly handed over the token and 2 taels of silver. 100 Forging Golden Body Technique. The middle-aged one-armed man had a strange look on his face. He glanced him up and down, then sneered and said, "Another self-righteous person who is seeking death? Don't you know that it is easy to cripple yourself by practicing this technique? And even if they succeed in practicing it, most people will collapse because they can't stand the torture. At the very least, they will become violent, cruel and bloodthirsty, and at worst, they will become mentally disturbed and crazy. For the sake of these 2 taels of silver, I advise you to choose another one. Thank you for your advice." Wei Hong was firm, but I still decided to choose this technique. Okay, I'd like to see what you can achieve with it." The middle-aged one-armed man said no more and threw a printed booklet over. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.